I hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine. I don't know when. I'm looking cold from prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rolling. All down to San Antonio. All down to San Antonio. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Don't ever play with guns.
Hello everybody and welcome to the home of the ABN broadcasts for the last about a week at this point. The home of half of ABN Studios for tonight, 10 minutes from now of it anyway. We're here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for HTL's presentation of the BFL 300 here on ABN 1. Thanks for joining us this afternoon as practice winds down and we get ready for single car qualifying, go or go home qualifying, followed by the longest race of the year by distance. I'm Kristina Ryan. Alongside me as always is Carmen, Sienna, and Carmen, this is a race that has a lot of weight behind it. It's one of the crown jewels. It's one of those races on a racetrack that never seems to get old. But we've got a lot to talk about besides just the racing, don't we?
Yeah, obviously this is a big race for HTL. This is a big race across the Star Car calendar. It's one of the meccas of racing in general. Obviously, we saw on Thursday, we saw the Roval in action there for Hyper Formula. Today and tomorrow, we get to be here for HTL competition. It provides so much, just in terms of what you can do here. It's a quintessential track, especially if you're starting out your iRacing career. If you're on ovals, more than likely you're going to be here at some point. That being said, it's a track that a lot of drivers have a lot of familiarity with. So it should be a very competitive race, all things considered. The question is, though, with 300 miles, it's a very long race. Who can keep it together the most?
Yeah, absolutely. And a 1.5 mile racetrack. Again, as you mentioned, we were on the Roval earlier this week for Hyper Formula, which you had quite a fun time at. We've all did, actually. And the track crews worked quite hard to remove those temporary walls and get those turtles dug back up and get the track prepped and ready to go for what is now going to be the oval portion of Charlotte festivities. And that starts right now with single car qualifying. And since it is a 1.5 mile long racetrack, the quad oval, of course, it is going to be single lap, single car qualifying. So if you're new to HTL, the way that this is effectively going to work is everybody is going to get one lap. They'll send them out one at a time, so we get to watch them go. And from there, pretty much that's it. They just rapid fire, and then of the go or go home drivers, those who are in the show will know by the end of this qualifying session, and a handful of drivers will be ending their weekend a bit early. It's yet to be seen what all will unfold here, but that's part of why we broadcast it live. We don't know who's in and who's out as far as the go or go homers, but we do know who does have a charter, and a large chunk of this field is already safe. Looks like the first car rolling down the pit lane is the number 45 machine, Caleb Eichler. And it appears that Eichler will be the first one to go qualifying. Be the 34 lining up just behind a Bobby Blowers as well. So a couple of Toyotas to kick things off, but still waiting for the go-ahead from race control before Caleb takes off. So while we wait for things to get underway here, Carmen, tell us a little bit about the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Charlotte Motor Speedway, it's again, a 1.5 mile track, as they mentioned, just outside of Charlotte's metro area in Concord. It's one of the older tracks in existence right now for stock car racing. 1959, this track was built, and it easily became a hub for stock car racing as a whole here in North Carolina. This track sits on 2,000 acres of facility. It's a very large area. It's got obviously the oval and the roval. It's also got a drag strip. It's got a short track. It's got a dirt track to it, on top of all of the necessities, parking lots, and all that stuff around it too. Literally anything and everything has come here at some point. IndyCar has run demo laps here. We've seen IMSA races here at night, back to 2020 when it was the GT race there. It's a very interesting track to take on here. It's one of the higher banked intermediate tracks too. 24 degrees in the corners, 5 degrees on the straightaways. That dogleg especially, you see a lot of drivers try to hug that dogleg, try to clip the grass on the front straightaway. Millimeter precision is going to be needed tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's been the hub of ABN. Of course, our main official hub for ABN Studios is in Sparta, Kentucky. That's our home race for ABN. But lots of great events take place here, both on the Roval and the Oval. We've seen plenty of fantastic finishes, great racing over the seasons on ABN. And it's quickly, as now having myself living here as well, is half a home. It's a home away from home, as Eichler runs their first lap, a 30.9.
His lap as well, and then Jonathan Adams on track now. So we'll see what Blowers can set. Michael starting things off. First several cars are all uncharted, so we're going to find out pretty quickly where everyone's going to stand here.
Blowers goes faster.
Top the board.
And it looks like Adams is going to crash across the line to start his lap. He kept it off the wall, it looks like, but he will be so slow here on that warm-up that he will almost certainly not make the show with that. So an unfortunate slide from him, but kind of bookending an HTL mainstay, wrecking before we even get the green flag. Respect to Adams, he's going to stick with it. It's better to have a lap time if some of his competitors also have incidents, and he could still make the show, but it's going to be in a very uphill battle for him. Only 32 dead. That is not going to be enough to make the show without a little bit of luck.
Next, Bianca Constantinou on her lap now. Back in the 57 car, filling in 13 for the last couple weeks. Now the pressure's on. Trying to make sure she gets to the field.
She'll run a 30.9, and it will go fastest. That time will put her fastest of all. So it looks like 30.9s are kind of where you want to be right now if you want to be fast. I imagine a pole would probably be something along the lines of a 30.8. DJ Trout in the number 20 machine on track now.
I believe DJ Trout is coming to complete his lap. And it's John Smith at 38. Trout crossed the line. You saw how he put that inside part of that grass, trying to get some extra time.
Incredibly quick. 30.6. How about that? That's more than enough And Smeal hits the wall and he will crash, and he can keep it from crossing the line. He can't, so he is out of qualifying just like that, and that will probably freeze the field because he's parked smack dab in the middle of the field. And I don't think he has a charter either, so he's going home.
No, he is not. And Lilac Zero is going to be next up to go qualifying here. Is your first charter car to qualify, so now the pressure's on for the uncharters that are still left. Connor Morris, William Brett, and Joel Rodriguez. Because now it's a fight over one spot.
Yeah.
Right now, Jonathan Adams in the drop zone.
That's such a unfortunate, you know, it's a bit of a clumsy mistake, isn't it? We've seen this a lot throughout, not just this season, but last season. A lot of the go or go homers pushing way harder than they need to. Of course, you need to push hard on your qualifying lap, but you need to set a qualifying lap. And so far, we've had 2 drivers crash before they even get to the stripe.
Yeah, there's a fine line. You have to sort of be coherent of where you're at. And you see Zier go 4th fastest. Not a bad time, but a conservative lap time.
Aiming all the way up the racetrack here, running the top lane. Interesting line. It's only going to be a 30.9 for him. He'll be 4th fastest. A good effort, but he probably will have been looking for a bit more there. Interesting to see him run the high line in 3 and 4. It can work. It's just curious to see that line. A little bit of variance on the racetrack tonight. You have Ryan Moutre as well, running that higher lane. But that was to come to start his lap. Struggling with understeer there, Carmen. That is not a very happy camper on that front end.
Got the exit pretty well hammered out, though.
Yeah,
the entry wasn't great, but he got the exit, so a lot of entry understeer.
Mm-hmm.
And then at least what we saw through practice, that it was like a lot of snap oversteer on exit, so the balance shifts a ton. And then maybe why some of the drivers have moved to the high line on 3 and 4, because a lot of the snaps have been out of 4. Moutre, once again, the 30.9s. Yeah, right in that range. Despite that started that lap, not looking great. Right in that range.
Yeah, very interesting. Here's Steven Overstat in the 88. Teammate John Smeal not going to make the show, but Overstat going to try and put in a good run in the 88 car.
Pressure for Overstat in that charter. It does make DJ Trout's lap very interesting, because he is cleared by a full 3/10.
Yeah, he put in a very good lap. It's going to be a very hard one to beat.
Overstat across the line.
Only a 31
1
dead, so about a 10th or 2 down from the middle of the pack here.
Morris up next, another uncharted car, starting his run. Connor Morris in a different look, the 01 machine. Callie Heighton, number 3.
Yep, part of a swap that took place last week to try and help Callie make some more races. Put in their faith in Connor that he can get into these races on speed.
So far, it's worked. Morris,
oh, and he's going to hit the wall there, so.
That's huge.
Yeah, he's out.
Provisionally.
The only way that he gets saved is if somebody, well, yeah, somebody else is going to have to not turn a lap for him to be in. So.
Breton starting his lap now.
Because if nobody else fails to qualify, then he will be one of 2. Only 2 cars go home tonight. He'll be one of the 2 that did not set a time. So, so he's out. Unless we have another wreck.
William Britton, who typically is pretty conservative on his qualifying runs, typically doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And then you have Joel Rodriguez, which is the wild card.
And, well, the other thing about this, though, is they don't have to turn times. They can turn the slowest lap of all time. It does not matter.
As long as they set a time.
Yeah.
Britton goes 9th fastest, 31.07, but he did what he needed to do to make sure he got in.
Yeah. I mean, again, it just goes back to you don't have to be a hero. You just have to set a time. Just put a time on the board. I mean, you take a look at that Adams, who I mean, basically spun out down the front straightaway. Made a huge mistake out of 4, but because he was able to actually set a lap time, he'll be dead last, but he's in the show, and he's locked in now, so. Oh, Peltier sharp there, clipping the apron. Nice job to hang on to it, though. I thought that might have carried the car up the hill. Be at 30.8. That's a pretty strong lap, second place.
She was looking for pole.
Yeah.
That's what she was looking for there, and she almost got it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think just that little, it was interesting. I think that bottom line, Carmen, is faster. It's just, you need to be able to predict what the car is going to do on exit. We'll see what Selena Thompson can do. She's back in the number 10 car this week.
Back from her suspension.
Which, to the shock of nobody, did nothing to change the race product.
Yeah.
So.
Selena Thompson coming across the line here, 8th fastest, smack dab in the middle.
Yep, not too shabby. Blake Henderson now.
Let's frustrate people in the track.
Yeah.
Right now, running his qualifying lap. See what he can do. He had a really good race going on last season before he got taken out from a car spinning off the pit lane. Like to be competitive once again in the BFL 300. Out of 3 and 4 and across the start-finish line. Where does this lap put him? Probably
Very
in the middle.
good. Very good.
Really good.
Me too. By
Phenomenal
just
lap.
a little bit. This is those kind of races. This is the race that he circles. This is the one that he focuses on and says, I'm going to do good here. And he was strong last year, and he's strong now. So will it last? Who knows? The curse of Blake Henderson continues in 2023, but so far, at least he's got a nice qualifying position here, and that should keep him pretty much in the top 5 no matter what. He's the only other driver to dip into 6s tonight.
This is a very much needed race. He's only got 2 top 10s, both of them on plate tracks.
30.7 for John Hagan. We played bowling with a couple pit crews just towards the end of practice. Here's Alfred Denny. Yeah.
I believe he is finishing his lap.
Starting it.
Starting it. See what he can do, and it looks like next car is up from Alfred Denny. Look at the qualifying order list real quick. Josh Arnold and Elias Flores would be up next.
Couple double numbers coming up. Alfred kept it about the middle through 3 and 4 as he comes out of the 4th corner over the hill and across the line. It's going to be 30.8, not terrible at all. 5th place for number 21 machine. Now, if Josh Arnold is supposed to go, I'm thinking he may have forfeit his run because Elias Flores is on track now in the number 99 machine.
Arnold is lined up in pit lane. I'm not sure what is going on with Arnold.
He's in pit lane. He's in his box. So we'll get back to you on that. But for now, Elias Flores, the number 99 machine, on track.
Byron Jones after that filling in the number 13 machine.
Flores goes 30.862. It'll be enough for P4. A nice strong run from Flores. There's Byron. Again, we still have one non-charter driver to go. Byron Jones hits the wall, and that'll be the end of his qualifying. Again, if you're new to the iRacing service, if you make contact on your lap, it is invalidated, which is why it's important that the final driver, Hernandez, puts in, the final non-charter driver, puts in a good run. And just turns a lap, because that's all they need to do to make the field.
Kelly Hammer in the high lane in 1 and 2. Get down to the medium there, in the middle lane.
So running up on that high lane, getting right up on the aero bubble. And across the line for car number 3, what's it gonna be? 31.1, so not a very fast time, but her P16, I think that's the second slowest of drivers that did not crash out. So
next, Zach Apperson, excuse me. Meredith's coming up later on. Meredith's last season race winner. Apperson up next here. He's on track now out of turn 2. And then Scott Poznansky. Right now in the drop zone is Connor Morris.
and
Trying to remember off the top of my head without looking.
30.8 for Apperson, who will go 4th fastest now.
It's Smeal and Morris.
And that should stay the same way, because by now, all the remaining non-charter is it Hernandez is the final non-charter? Rodriguez. So he's the only one who has to go, and I'm sure he's aware at this point that all he needs to do is set a lap time. So, you know.
Speaking of Rodriguez.
Oh, Poznansky hits the wall. I don't think he's going to get away with that either.
Nope, he will not.
Was not going to be fast anyway, 31.2, but it's not going to matter.
Rodriguez on track now to start his run. And again, he knows you just have to set a lap time.
He's just got to do a Richard Petty driving experience lap. He just get it across the line, son. There's no reason to push. In fact, if it was me, oh my goodness, he's touched the wall. I think he might get away with that. That was probably netcode, but
I don't know. That's very iffy. He's got to make sure he has it out of 4. That's close to.
Yeah.
Did he get away with it? He
did, and he went pole position. So.
Wow.
Well, if it looks stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Congratulations. That's definitely making a statement there. And he used every inch of the racetrack, touched the wall once, almost touched it out of 4.
That was phenomenal.
Talk about when all the chips are down and all you have to do is just turn a lap. He said, okay, now watch this drive. But that's the kind of thing we've seen out of him. He's done a fantastic job all season in any car he's been in, so sitting out front, nice job. Matthew Boone does a 30.8, yeah, 8th fastest. And now we've got Josh Arnold on the track, so I'm not sure, he must have had an issue of some sort. But he will get to do his qualifying run. Of course, he's a charter driver anyway, so it ultimately doesn't matter. And by the way, with Rodriguez's lap time, Connor Morris is officially going home, as is Smeal. So, pack it up, boys. See you next week.
Atlanta next week.
Josh Arnold only good enough for P20.
31.3 for Arnold.
Here's Gary Donaldson, the wise old head in HTL.
You can do here. On the back straightaway into turn 3 and 4. Gets to the bottom. Very important if he wants to set a good lap. And it looked really good at 3 and 4. Across the line, Donaldson, where does it put him? Top 5.
Not too bad.
30.82.
Left a little bit of room out of turn 4, the armchair racer here. But I think he saw he had a pretty good lap and was just gonna... He did the smart thing, you know? We've seen so many drivers smack the wall there. He probably gave it about a 99%. Here's Santiago running a very awkward line through 1 and 2. That's probably cost him a lot of time.
That is a car that's front end would not bite for the life of it.
Well, it was flying through the air during practice, took a horrible crash. Did a blowover down the front straightaway and ripped the roof off of the 10 of Selena Thompson's car on the front stretch right there. So the fact that they've even got that car put back together, and thank goodness he's okay. The fact that the driver is in one piece and the car is in one piece is a bit of a miracle. P20 is something they're going to be celebrating about in the paddock there after that massive crash they had on the front stretch. I'll tell you what.
Last season's race winner.
Yeah, and champion. But I'll tell you what, Carmen, they're going to be thinking their lucky stars also at Charlotte that car did not go into the catch fence during practice, because then we probably would have had to delay qualifying, and we all know the last thing we need is to leave here any later.
Red flag, red flag.
They want you to stop the car. Stop the car, Checo. Stop the car.
Ooh, Meredith with a really good lap, 30.63. Really good lap by Meredith, trying to defend his crown. Nathan Lehman up next, driving the U.S. Air Force machine. Lehman can do filling in for Kyle Taub, who is serving in the Air Force, hence the Air Force scheme. At 4. What does 16 car have?
30.5, very nice. Not quite enough for pole position, but that will be a front row start for the Air Force car. It certainly was flying.
Beach up next. Times are beginning to get quicker and quicker. Top 5 separated by just over a 10th. Each through 3 and 4 keeps it on that bottom groove. Really
good.
good.
A lot of bottom there, but got some good momentum nonetheless. Across the line.
He didn't scrub. Like, he
30.8.
wasn't fighting that car. That was so important.
Yeah, I think it was good that he didn't panic when he missed the apex to try and turn more, because that would have cost him, like you said, even more time. He just kind of rolled with it and ends up with a solid P10 despite that. I don't know if it was a mistake or just a choice, but nevertheless, top 10 starting spot for Peach provisionally. Here's Katie Height in the number 11.
Height gonna try to go for pole.
Has got it all to do though. There's pretty strong times at the top of the charts.
Gets it right to that white line.
Yeah, very nicely done there.
All the way out to the wall, using up all the track. This will be a very good lap, but how good?
30.6, not quite enough, but enough for a top 5. Second row for Katie Height, not too bad at all. Eli Sasek up next as well now.
I think it's impressed with DJ Trout's lap. DJ Trout, one of the first cars on track, and it just held up.
Yeah, and from a driver who we really don't know a whole lot about, haven't heard a whole lot of, has not made a bunch of noise. Quietly, methodically, has put that car in a good position, so see if it holds up. Sasek looking really good through 3 and 4 there. Not sure how fast it's going to be, but at least it was clean and steady, and across the line it's a 30.8, so not the fastest in the world. But it is top 15 for Sasek. Pretty par for course for him. Kind of shows up every week with a solid top 10 car, and as the chaos unfolds around him, he typically ends up with the top 5 car by the end of the night. You step up next in the 94. Crown Jewel winner. Once upon a time. Gets it right down there on the apron, almost too much, but he's got it tapered down quite nicely and across the dog leg. What will he do in the number 94? 30.7, not too shabby. 94 will go P8. We got the 31 car up next. It's Brandon Proudfoot, last week's winner. What
Much
can
better,
he do?
decent amount of practice. Let's see what we can put together here. And that's not a good start. Follows that car in the entry of 1.
Little bobble, but held on to it. Kind of similar to what we saw a minute ago. Didn't panic too much about it, just kind of held on to it. Now he's got it tapered down a bit better through 3 and 4. Still missing that apex a little bit.
Washing out. It's washing out wide here on the exit of 4. Keeps it
out of
in,
the
but
wall.
this is not a good lap.
Come across the line, and it will be a 30.8. So not
Wow.
bad. It's a pretty solid lap, actually. And that's going to be attributed to. Yeah, that'll be attributed to him not panicking there on the corners. He carried the momentum more than anything, I think, is what saved him there. Definitely could have been a top 5 time. Probably could have contended for pole had he gotten it to bite where he needed it to, but did what he had to do, got it across the line, and most importantly, actually finished the lap. Joel Rodriguez is not your race winner, but he is your pole sitter. The go or go home driver did not need to do that, but shades of Sebastian Vettel puts in a solid time there. They're actually going to have the 96 go now, out of sync, so I think we missed a driver. That time's looking pretty good anyways for Rodriguez. Not sure why McDonald's going after the rest of the field.
I believe he was not added to the qualifying order, so they kind of just missed him.
So they just throw him in there anyway.
They just missed him, so they just threw him at the end. Which, I mean, it's fair, because they probably started qualifying at the time. They're just like, well, we're not going to mess up the order too often much here.
Well, shoot, they basically said. We'll see what kind of lap time he can turn here as he comes across the stripe. The last second gasp. It's going to be a 30.9. 20th place, not terrible, but not fantastic. So now we can pull it up again. We called our shot a little early. We leaked the script. Apologies. But Joel Rodriguez is on the front row with Nathan Lehman, DJ Trout, Katie Height, and Zachary Meredith. The remainder of that top 5. Have a full look at the starting grid once the time comes, but we have 5 minutes of warm-up in the meantime.
One last chance now. Shake off the rush, shake off the jitters, and get down to business here, Charlotte. It's a very long race, very long night ahead. All the drivers very well aware what's at stake.
Yeah, absolutely. But are they, I think, is the biggest question here, because we say that every week, and it seems like it's almost been the opposite of that. We've just had more and more chaos and confusion during these races. So what do you think, Carmen? I'm curious your opinion. Do you think we actually have a decent race tonight on a crown jewel where typically the performance tends to go up, or do we have another, well, you know what show?
It's hard to tell. You know, we've seen races where the first half's good and then it falls off. We've seen races where the first half's bad and it picks up.
Well, we also, not to pull up the Larry McReynolds trends here, but we look back to last season's race, and it was a bit of a disaster. And I think that's putting it lightly. So the trends are not in the favor of the long-term trends for this season, and the long-term trends from this race last season are not going to be predicting us a very good race tonight. But that would be just the time to turn things around, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
So we got a minute to talk about it. You got some picks for tonight's race. You picked Sosi, Proudfoot, Hagen, and Gaiman. Why?
This is very difficult, right? Why is Zach Meredith not here? Why is Caitlin Height not on this list? You look at drivers that have a lot of things to prove here. Brandon Proudfoot coming off the win last week. But Proudfoot's wins mostly have been races that have been overshadowed by controversy. He wants one that's just straightforward and simple. Josh Sosi, I think this is a track that once again kind of suits him a little bit. He's got to start from the back of the field, but he is one of the better drivers in this field. He's going to have to be patient from 36th to the front. Can he do that? So it's an interesting story to keep an eye on there for Lady Liberty Motorsports. John Hagan, very big night for him. Serving in the U.S. Army, this is a very special night for him. He's also good at Charlotte. We've seen how good he is in a variety of cars, from Xfinity, Gen 4, trucks, obviously the Gen 7 car that we're seeing tonight. He is good at this track, a very phenomenal driver, and he is consistent. Now, is he consistent enough to win is the big question. He's still looking for that. But I think that with the light shining a little bit brighter tonight, he's got the ability to do that. Josh Gaiman, we've talked about this so much. He is his worst enemy. When he's out of his own way, he is phenomenal. He is hard to beat. Can he stay out of his own way? This is a race that almost got him suspended last season. It went that poorly. He wants to shake it off, do something different, kind of revitalize himself here tonight. So this is a big race for him too, and he needs to try to close in that gap because he has been suffering this season. He's got a race win, obviously, but it doesn't feel like it for him. There has been no momentum in that 61 camp. They need to change that, and that needs to start here or in Atlanta. I think is going to suit Gaiman here a little bit better than next week at Atlanta.
Well, one of the nice things is with this format, you don't have to be good all season. He did get that win, and that's the only critical thing about it. So even though he's in a rough patch now, as long as he can get it sorted out before the chase for the championship, it really doesn't matter. The thing he's fighting with right now, like you said, is himself and his psyche, because week in and week out having mistakes like that, especially unforced errors, is not going to do well for a driver's mentality. If you can get that under control, then maybe, just maybe, we could see that 61 car in victory lane again. We got some picks to win tonight. Of course, you're going to go ahead and lean on Brandon Proudfoot once again. No reason not to. Solid driver winner last week and looking very comfortable in that 31 car. The computer also going to go with Nathan Eastep in the 94 machine. But I have a feeling mine might be the winner tonight.
The fact that it's taken this long for that to pop up is hilarious. Because we could have used that at Myrtle Beach, last week in Milwaukee, we could have used it at Daytona. There's so many. The fact that we've just now dug that out, and why we dug it out tonight and not at Atlanta, is interesting. But I'm happy that it's made that pick. I'm not betting against it. Definitely not betting against it. We'll have to see. Obviously, we can now count the caution laps. So
well,
we'll figure out
the pace car has led
led
the most laps. It's earned bonus points this year for leading the most laps in a race. So, yeah, it's in the hands of these drivers, Carmen, and that's basically the most reassuring and most scary thing about this, is that it's all in their hands. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's event. Joel Rodriguez and Nathan Lehman will start us off and lead us to the green flag in the BFL 300 alongside DJ Trout and Katie Height in row 2, Zach Meredith, Blake Henderson in row 3, and John Hagan and Nathan Eastep in row 4. And rounding out the top 10, Carmen, is Gary Donaldson and Zachary Apperson.
Yeah, it's a very interesting top 10 there. It gets even more interesting once you get to row 6. Brandon Proudfoot, Hunter Peach in that row. Proudfoot working from 12th on the grid tonight. Looking a little further down, Lily Paul, T.A. Sharp, and Elias Flores in row 7. Eli Sasek and Matthew Boone making up row number 8. Row 9, Bianca Constantinu and Alfred Denny making up the top, I believe, 18. Top 20 is Dylan McDonald getting himself into the top 20 here. He needs to get a lot of things going in that 96 camp. Lally Lowry is alongside of him in that 10th row. Then Lyle Laxier and Josh Gaiman in row 11. Teammates for Steppingstone Motorsports. They will have a lot of work to do, but they're going to be working together to try to get to the field.
Yeah, absolutely. A little further down, you have Ryan Moutre and then Selena Thompson on her first race back. Going to try and get the momentum moving back in her direction after some strong races leading up to that suspension. Caleb Eichler and Stephen Overstat behind them. Following them are William Britton and Angel Santiago. It's going to be Callie Height and Josh Arnold rounding out the top 30, followed by Josh Sosi and John Adams. John Adams sliding his way into a starting position tonight. Josh Sosi not able to turn a qualifying lap. Byron Jones hitting the wall as well. Connor Morse failing to qualify tonight. Pacey Wygant and Chad Swatsworth not qualifying, but will be on the grid, as will Scott Poznansky after smacking the wall as well. But Jonathan Smeal going home early will not make the field. Those were the two that went home. And that's how we're looking at things for tonight's event. Last season, it was a bit of a miserable race. The last month of HTL racing, I'm not gonna lie, Carmen, has been very subpar. But this is the race where either that turns around on a crown jewel and we get a fantastic bit of grandstand racing, or we really cement this season as one that we will want to forget for a very long time, which would be a massive letdown with all the excitement and hype we had in those first couple of weeks and such great racing. I'm really hoping for the first one.
In the hands of drivers, as we say so many times, there's 36 of them that have to cooperate and get along. Sometimes that is the biggest question mark of them all.
Absolutely. So even though it is technically the Coca-Cola 600 for this series, what is going on there? What is Hagen doing? Okay. There is no extra stage tonight. It is still just a 2-stage break race, 3 stages total. So no extra break, no halftime break, none of that stuff going on. It's going to be a straightforward race tonight, just a bit longer than normal. Longest race by distance we're expecting to have this year. Of course, not the case by time, but and at least not by scheduled distance. So we'll see. We've had a lot of handling issues, a lot of handling complaints, and practice was a bit of a demolition derby. Again, we sent a car nearly into the first row of the grandstands, but that was practice. This is the race. This is when it counts the most. We invite you all to turn up the volume, kick your feet up, grab some popcorn and a Coca-Cola, and relax, because the BFL 300 at Charlotte is underway, and we are green. Rodriguez leads lap number 1. It's a gaggle back in 5th place behind them, but so far so good for the 36 drivers around the first mile and a half of tonight's event. If they can get to the stripe again, go ahead.
So first line of cars all the way down to east at single file at the moment, but a little bit of a bobble there. The lead that was by the 25 of Henderson.
Yeah, he nearly ran over the back of, who's that in front of him?
That's the 20 of Trout.
Yeah, nearly spun him out in 3 and 4. Basically a bump and run at 150 miles an hour. That very seldom goes well, as you can imagine. And then nearly lost the car himself out of turn 4. So Henderson, the most unhappy man in the field, almost runs over the 20 again there. So, and may end up doing it again because the 20 is not going to have a good exit as a result of that. But it's all behind the 91 of Joel Rodriguez, who has basically booked his flight for next week already. He is out of here.
Katie Height got the 2nd place as well. Worked up 4th place on the grid, back up to 2nd. Now he's going to chase down that 91 machine as Trout tries to get around the 16 of Lehman. Lehman had a really good qualifying effort, but immediately under pressure. And now in the outside lane as Trout goes through for 3rd. And Henderson will try to go through for 4th. Lehman, I think, the best move will be to slide in right behind Henderson and sort of relax a little bit. That's what he does.
Working lap number 5. think by miles, Carmen, this might be the longest green flag run by distance we have had in quite some time.
We go over to Talladega.
Yeah.
At the very least, Talladega.
Henderson working the wheel, but the first 5 laps are green. Rodriguez, Height, Trout, Henderson, Lehman, the top 5 as they run. The rest of the field on your screen as they make their way down the back straightaway and off into turn number 3.
Lap right now belongs to Brandon Proudfoot early on. Proudfoot getting right to the back of the defending series champion and defending race winner, and Zach Meredith.
Here's what it looks like from midfield, on board with Ryan Moutre in 22nd position, trying to work on Selena Thompson just in front on her first race back. See a car sliding up the hill just a little bit there. I think that might have been Dylan McDonald, as Josh Gaiman is up to 16th already. He is gaining plenty of positions early on in this race. Lilac Zero, not so much. She's still sitting in 26th place. She's fallen back a little bit on the restart. So one stepping stone car moving up and the other falling back a bit early on.
Biggest gainer so far, Jonathan Adams and Byron Jones, both up 8 spots in this race so far.
Oh, look at this gaggle here. You can see the run Moutre got out of turn number 4 as they all checked up in the dog leg. Is that up on the top lane there? I think it might be. The National Guard car was quite slow out of the last corner. I think that might have been Alfred Denny. Not getting the best. It was actually Donaldson.
Yeah, I believe the National Guard cars are Tombstone cars, so it had to be Donaldson there.
Yeah, this is where it's at right now. This is the closest group on the track. They're all trying their best not to run each other over early on in this one. Angel Santiago's got the front row seat to it all, on board with his helmet camera. You can see he listed how early he's lifting into the corner. He said, "You guys go ahead. I think I'll watch from back here."
Doing a bad job so far, but again, everyone, I think at this point, you look at some of the stuff that's happened here between Milwaukee and now. Some rule changes came into place that I think has really kind of shifted how some drivers are approaching this race now. 12 incident points is a drive-through penalty. 20 incident points, disqualification.
And a very overdue change for that. Well overdue, but better late than never.
You see how it's changed everyone's approach. Everyone's have to be a lot more timid, especially in these opening laps.
Yeah, I think it's something that I'm glad they finally made the change. It's one of those deals that you're like, how could they have not done this earlier? But it seems to finally have had a little bit of an effect on these drivers and the way that they pace themselves through these events, at least so far. We shouldn't be patting ourselves on the back yet to have an 11-lap stint. We've had plenty of races this season that the whole first stage will go green and then it devolves. So call me pessimistic, but I think for a pessimistic person, I'm pretty optimistic about this. But I think we'll just call it realistic.
It's a good first step.
Yeah.
Good first step. Stage 1 ends on lap 50, so we'll see how far we can make it there. I believe a pit stop will have to happen in each stage if they run green.
Change for the lead here. Height has caught Joel Rodriguez and is going for the lead out of turn number 4.
Katie Height looking very strong once again. Katie Height feeling a little bit jaded that we left her off the pits to win.
Still side by side for the lead between these two.
Clean air is a great equalizer. Now both of them have it.
A little bit of side draft there from the 11. See how she pulls back that 91 on entry, but had to lift a little earlier. Rodriguez on the outside lane didn't have to lift quite as early. Using up those Goodyear Eagles. Both of them, and Rodriguez barely grazes the wall, but I think he's going to get away with it. But it will give the advantage to Katie Height, who leads her first lap of the day, but she still can't complete the pass. Rodriguez is going to side draft off into 1, but is going to go way too high, up into the marbles. He keeps it out of the wall just about, but it will well and truly now give the lead to Katie Height, who will try to drive away. But side by side for a couple laps there. This has got DJ Trout licking his chops and Brandon Proudfoot. Now it's a 4-horse race for the lead up front.
Yeah, once those two got side by side, they split each other down, and it allowed Trout and Proudfoot to gather all of momentum, getting right behind them. And you see what that momentum looks like now. Rodriguez now without momentum, under threat to go from first to fourth in 3 laps.
Yeah, and Trout and Proudfoot want to clear Rodriguez, who's probably got a little older tires now, as fast as possible to go catch Katie Height before she pulls too big of a gap, because, you know, the side-by-side is what got them up to the back bumper of these two, but it's also what could let the 11 drive away. And a lot of lifting there from the 91 of Rodriguez, who is definitely starting to struggle on those good years.
Rodriguez struggling a lot now. He's already on threat and by.
Yeah, Nathan Lehman moves up too, so Rodriguez goes from first to fifth in 2 laps.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Henderson about to be split 3 wide, or that was actually Meredith about to be split 3 wide by Henderson and Hagen.
Henderson's falling back from Kristina out too. All the way up to 4th, now all the way back down to 7th place. Trying to work around the defending series champion. And the more that DC sits side by side, the more that Rodriguez gets to breathe. As we've mentioned so many times before, you get side by side, and side drafting will slow you down. Enough cars have it pretty well figured out naturally. You will slow down the more you're side by side with these cars.
Back to the battle for the lead now. It's Height and Trout. Trout having a bit of a career day so far, put in a fantastic qualifying effort, and now puts himself in a position where he's fighting for the lead for the first time in his HTL career. Putting on quite a little race here to start things off. But chasing one of the best and also being hunted by one of the best as far as raw talent goes in this series.
A race where some talent emerge. How long this race is.
It does favors quite a bit of the wild cards over the years. Names like Casey Mears pop into mind.
Yeah.
Of course, in the Busch Series side of things, we all remember, well, most of us remember the wacky finish with Dave Blaney, the underdog, taking the win over Matt Kenseth. Bobby Labonte didn't end up winning that day, but Bobby Labonte nearly getting his final win. He finished second in 2005 versus Jimmy Johnson. So there's a lot of situations where a driver you would not expect to be up at the front of the field all of a sudden just appears there. Austin Dillon, another driver that comes to mind to have won the Coke 600.
This track again, this track is free to everybody. Everyone has it when you join the service. So this is one of the tracks that you put the most miles on in your iRacing career if you're an oval driver. And it shows.
And just about every car too. You'll run it in street stocks. You'll run on the front stretch in super lates. You'll run legends on the front stretch. You'll run, you know, everything from ARCA to trucks to wheel and modifieds to anything here. And now with the Roval, it even more so is amplified by that. You'll run just about every car at this racetrack that is in the service. You'll go sports cars, open wheelers, but on the oval side of things, yeah, for sure. This is probably the track you will have the most laps on in your entire career if you go up through the standard ladder.
So just say about ABS, you know, history over the past 3 years. We've run the oval once. We've run the Roval 9 times.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of utility in this track, and you see it so often across so many series. I don't think there's a series that we've broadcast that is not going to Charlotte at some point.
Caution.
There's caution down for the first time, and it looks like, see if I can figure out who it is.
At least one of the cars involved.
And that is on the front straightaway.
It's already happened by this point, so we're going to back it up a little bit more. Have a look-see and see what happened. Fighting for pretty well last place already. They weren't very far up the running order. And Height's just going to run out of racetrack and hit the wall, and she's going to lose the back end. Come back down across traffic, and is going to get hooked and turned by, I think that's Overstat.
Yeah,
she'll take a long slide through the turf.
Overall, that could have been a lot. That could have been worse.
Could have been worse. I think she just lost the front end here. I don't think she gets loose and hits the wall. Just runs out of racetrack.
All 36 cars, I believe, are going to be on the lead. Oh, 35, because Caleb Eichler is out. All 35 will end up on the lead lap. Josh Sosi was just ahead of the leaders when that caution came out, so he will stay on the lead lap.
And pit road is getting busy. The leaders are headed in, and we will have a look at it now. You can see them all on their way in.
This should cover the first stage in terms of pit stops.
Yes, it should be pretty easy on the way back into the end of lap 50. We were about to get to the point where strategy-wise, the window is about to open up for these drivers, so shouldn't have any issues. Of course, thankfully for these drivers, no green-white checkers in stages, so they won't have to worry about fuel mileage at all here. You see a couple gamblers already. Santiago and Britton stay out. Pacey Wygant, the first one off pit road. Then Height wins the battle off over Trout and Proudfoot. So a couple of drivers taking a bit of a gamble.
I think they're just kind of leading laps here. I don't think they're going to stay up for very long.
You don't know that, of course. We've got William Britton, who, if anybody is going to play some strategy games, it would be him. He's done it enough to make it work. I think Pacey Wygant may have missed his box or took two.
Wygant missed his box.
So I imagine we'll see the 24 come back in, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 68 car stay out. It's not uncommon for William to stay out for a cycle. Of course, cautions breed cautions, and he usually gambles on these kind of deals. But we'll see if he decides to pull it in or not. He stays out, as does Santiago, so not too surprising from that. Santiago, the one that I'm a little more surprised to make this kind of strategy call, but again, he did not have a very good qualifying. He was there in the back when that wreck happened, as was Britton. They could have been saving tires back there anyway. Why not? But this is going to set us up for an interesting thing. How are these tires going to react after 25 laps of green flag racing? Two drivers on old tires at the front of the field with a whole bunch of angry drivers. 33 made it to the pit lane behind them, so we'll see what happens. And an update for those that were maybe wondering, Callie Height's car wounded but not destroyed. I think that the damage fairly repairable on that car. Likewise for Steven Overstat, who was in 15th position despite that contact. So it looks like everybody involved in that wreck got away pretty well scot-free.
Come back to green. First caution of the night. It's going to be the Angel Santiago and William Britton. Santiago chose the outside lane on this restart. And it's Height, Trout, Rodriguez, Proudfoot, Hagan, Lehman, Henderson, Meredith in top 10.
We know that cautions breed cautions. We've got to be careful with wheel spin on that front row. We're going to have them dropping like rocks. I think we're pretty good company that we might not see that pace car sit in the pit lane for too long, but we'll see what they can do. They proved us wrong at the start. Can they do it again? Green flag back in the air.
Good start by Santiago. Outside lane's gonna roll.
And Trout is digging right now, and that number 20 has an opportunity to get some daylight. Is clear of the 11 of Katie Height, who's gonna have to try to look underneath of William Britton. Down the back straightaway they all come. Height gonna try and make it 3 wide here for position, and that's gonna cause a crash.
Turned. And there they go.
Yep. They were never gonna make it. As soon as I saw Height pull 3 wide, you knew that was just gonna be big, and they're still wrecking in the background. That's more like the HTL we know and love. For better or for worse.
A lot of cars involved in that one because we need to have it up in the front.
What happened here? It looks like Height, I don't know if Height got into the... Looks like everybody just couldn't slow down in time in the background. I saw one car smack the wall quite hard. I think it was the 94. I'm not sure if Estep had any help or lost it on his own. It looked like everybody collectively lost it.
It looked like everyone just tried to lock up the brakes, and everyone's got rearward brakes right now. It looks like really a significant amount of rearward brakes because they locked up the rear tires and began stepping out.
Yeah, and that's a lot of damage on the 3 of Height now. Oh, she wrecked under caution. That's what we're looking at now. What? That's not going to show us the replay yet. We got to continue to back this up. So the caution has already happened here. Let's take another look. apologies for so many replays here. So, okay, so this is the restart, effectively. And we're gonna see, up at the front, Katie Height's gonna get a run, and she's gonna pull it 3 wide. And that's gonna spook Britain, who's then forced 3 wide. So while they're wrecking here, there's Selena Thompson in the wall. There's the 28, 13, both the Ascent drivers. So, just trying to see here. The 94 checks up really hard. Oh, and Callie kind of, she was with the flow of traffic. The 94 kind of stomped on the brakes, seeing the wreck ahead. A lot of that's really unfortunate because E-Step did the right thing. The rest of the field said, no, I'm not slowing down. And guess what happened, Carmen? The rest of the field crashed. And E-Step was the only one who got away with it. So then what happens here is what I'm curious about. So the caution is out. That looked like, did Boone get into the back of Height? Either way, now they're both out of the race. That's just a bunch of people not paying attention. Caution's out. Same thing we just saw with E-Step hitting the brakes and nobody reacting. Height hits the brakes, nobody reacts, and they wreck each other, and now they're both out of the race. Okay. I guess. I guess we're not going to get another replay. Thank you, ATVO. I didn't want to see a replay again anyway, but, what did we say, Carmen? Cautions breed cautions. I knew as soon as they tried to put it 3 wide in there, that was never going to work. A lot of impatience all around. It's the longest race of the season. They really need to be doing a bit better than that on a restart. Both at the front end of the field and the back end of the field. That was a 0-car crash that needed to happen that ended up being about 10 or 15.
A lot of talent with an apostrophe T.
Yeah. I think too much talent and not enough restraint from about half the field there. It's going to be Height and Proudfoot. Britain still stays out with Hagen and Henderson. Green flag will be back in the air with 32 to go in stage number 1.
Green, let's go.
Proudfoot and Height side by side for the lead. Proudfoot with the advantage, but had to check up a little bit out of turn number 4. John Hagen on the rear diffuser of the both of them. Height still looking to the inside. Proudfoot trying to hang tough on the top. They come down the back straightaway. Proudfoot leads from Height and Hagen. How about Josh Gaiman, by the way, who's made his way up to 4th already? He's been on a tear in this stage.
Yeah.
Caution.
Caution out, William Britton.
Are we sure it's for Britain?
Britton's the one that came off track and on track all the time, so I don't know what's happened here with William Britton, but he's the one that's indicated on my screen.
Like he's just making a pit stop.
Unless he spun coming out of pit lane.
Surely not.
Because I think he was serving a drive-through. Yeah, he was serving a drive-through penalty.
Yep, that's...
This is on pit exit.
Yeah.
And this car's in pit lane.
Oh, gosh.
That's a caution that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, this time because the game caution didn't need to happen, not well, both the drivers and the game that time. The first caution on that restart was one that didn't need to happen because everybody drove too hard, and then this one happened because the game didn't really need to throw that one, but... Well, for a moment, gang, I thought we were watching a race. But it turns out we're watching a regular installment of an HTL Cup Series parade, so... what a shame. Still time to turn it around, though. But, this is one of those situations where people are going to start getting frustrated now that the caution came out. Tires are going to be colder and colder because they never get enough time to get heat into them. Also, the shadows are growing longer as the sun continues to set, so that's going to continue to cool the track off. And then there's changing track conditions, which, with love, I don't think half the field can handle. So be a Constantino getting the wave by there. And even if we did get a green flag run at this point, it will be about 15 to go in the stage, so we won't get a whole lot of green flag running in before we see another yellow. And as just purely going off of the trends, as pessimistic and doomer as they seem, typically when we're in this kind of scenario, Carmen, we will see another caution before the end of the stage because they start to race so hard knowing there's 15 to go on the stage. So listen,
speak for themselves.
This is optimism. I'm afraid. Well, it's not optimism, it's realism. That's just what the stats say. Don't shoot the messenger. Though if I was in a parking lot with any of the HTL drivers, I'd try to find another parking lot for my car's sake. We're working caution number 3 now. 35 laps in. Now, granted, this is a statistic that is a bit more normal and a bit more forgivable. We've only had 8 laps under caution of the 35. And, but we've had those 3 cautions and all 8 of those caution laps in the last 10 laps, so... Had a nice little race early on, some good changes for position, some good battling, but... We'll see what they do. And you can see in the background all those drivers trying to work those tires to try and keep temperature in them, Carmen, but you know just as well as I do, it is so hard with these pedestrian speeds the pace car runs to try to put temperature into these 18-inch tires. They don't hold the temp. Well, they hold the temp, but the way that the slip is and the way that these tires react and the way these cars are, it's just a bit of a... It's a bit of a pain to get the tires up into a working operating temperature. And as a result, it's just gonna make these next few restarts really clumsy, even if we do stay green, because everyone's gonna have to try and get tires that are now basically ice cubes into a working operating zone, and that's hard to do, because you're also picking up all the marbles, you're picking up all the dirt. Granted, we have turf here, so not so much dirt as far as the track's dirt, but the dust on the line and all of that getting kicked up from cars spinning. That is something that does happen in iRacing. You will pick up those marbles, you do pick up that dust. That is something that affects these tires in this simulation. So you take that and then you cool the tires down more than they should. I always think it's a bit silly, no, that we have to talk about operating temperatures in a stock car race, but that's the era we're in now, where these cars are very temperature sensitive. So they're a bit like my teeth with no enamel. They really don't like being cold.
We'll have to figure out who's going to be able to manage it the best. I mean, the 14 laps to go in stage 1. That's Proudfoot, Height, Hagen, and Gaiman, top 4. 3 of my top 4 are my ones to watch. We're in the top 4.
I'm just saying that my pick to win is currently, I think, 3rd or 2nd on the most laps led tonight chart. So my pick to win tonight has led 9 and will be 10 laps when we get the green flag. So shout out to Fred Jones behind the wheel of the pace car. He's gotten his money's worth this year. Pace car's off, we'll try it again. As you mentioned, it's Proudfoot and Height, Hagen and Gaiman, Sasek, Henderson, Meredith, Lehman, Sharp, and Peach, the top 10. Let's try it again.
A good start by Proudfoot, not a good start by Height.
Or Henderson. Both of them got terrible starts.
Okay, gave Gaiman all the effort he needed to get to the bottom lane. Side by side now for 2nd place as Proudfoot tries to set sail.
Hagen and Height side by side for P2. They're going to make almost a little bit of contact out of turn number 4. Again, those cold tires. You see everybody bobbing and weaving in the background as they try to find some grip out of these tires.
Still side by side. Hagen's got the 3rd lane. But still needs tires when they warm up. Height's got the ability to defend that position. With the momentum out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Still side by side. Gaiman doesn't know what lane to pick. They open the inside lane works. But Height's going to keep it very tight on Hagen. Side by side, a little bit of contact.
Yeah, they're leaning on each other pretty hard right about now, which again kind of goes back to...
These two.
No, there's not. It just kind of goes back to, you know, like, we're on lap 39 at 200. It's good racing for sure, but you need to get your car to the end of the end of the stage to get to the end of the race. They're going very, very hard, very early, and that's where I'm starting to get worried that we're going to see another big crash here. And they're keeping it clean so far, but Hagen is really struggling on that bottom lane. And Gaiman's getting impatient too. Was that Sosi that just hit the wall and went flying through the infield? I think it was, as he goes underneath our press box. It was. And he, I think, is going to have... I have a feeling that that was related to a re-entry. I don't want to call it before I see it, but we saw Sosi go flying beneath our feet there. Oh my goodness, huge impact there. That is the 13 and the 12, so coming in here a bit late. So Sosi's just in front of this. This is Byron Jones just behind. And Sosi loses it all on his own. And then he's still losing it. And then, yeah, that's unfortunate for Byron. It's a bit sloppy from the 81. Of course, in his defense, I think he was still just trying to hang on to it. I don't think he was trying to come back on the track. I think he was just trying not to spin in general, but you'll see here as he comes flying back into the right-hand side of your screen. He doesn't really have a whole lot of control over that car, to be fair. Byron Jones makes an adjustment to the car, trying not to run over the 81.
You see Sosi just go through the air twice.
Yeah.
Because this adds AstroTurf, but it's still It's still an elevated surface.
Yeah, of course, but.
And that's 2 more cars out of this race. And Poznanski, it's the second 300 in a row.
On board here.
Significant problems.
Here's how quickly this is going to happen. Byron Jones, I mean, just nowhere to go. 81 loses it in front, and then watch him come flying back in. Airmail. And I don't think that package is going to get a very good review. So Jones will join Callie Height and Scott Poznanski in the pit lane, and they'll continue to try to work and get what they can out of that car, but I think that might be curtains. And Rodriguez also 6 laps down now after sitting on the pole position in the 91 car. Damage suffered. Bia Constantinu 1 lap down. Matthew Boone 3 laps down after him and Callie Height wrecking each other under caution. That's going to be one that's going to need some answers in the big red truck. Joel Rodriguez 6 laps down, but still rolling, but it's turning into a very HTL event. So we should get, actually no, we are not going to get the one to go. We'll have another cycle behind my pick to win this race, and who is quickly running up the leaderboard in most laps led tonight. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We're working lap 43. We've had a handful of cautions tonight, and we will have one more in 7 laps time when they cross the line, because the end of the stage is at lap 50. We had a very solid start to this race, about 23 laps of green flag running early on with some great battles for the lead, and gave us a glimpse of what we could be seeing every week in this series. But now we're back, snapping back to reality, and in the case of Josh Sosi through the tri-oval there, oh, there goes gravity. And as he goes flying through the infield, triggering the 4th or 5th caution of the night. Yeah, not an ideal scenario, especially when we know we have that 5th caution coming up with the stages, and I'm sure you've heard me go on my, at this point, regularly scheduled rant about why are we having stages when the cautions are this frequent anyway. But there you go. We have ran 12, now 13 laps under caution, which means we've had 30 laps of the 43 under green. Quick maths. We've had 4 lead changes. All of those happened within the first bit of the race under that green flag stint and the first restart. Still got 157 of these to go. It is very much in the hands of the 32 remaining drivers on the field. Whether we do that with Fred Jones at front of the field or with someone who is paid to drive these cars at the front of the field. Again, I'm Kristina Ryan. Alongside me is Carmen, Sienna. Both of us have found victory lane here in Charlotte. Very fun track when they do get up through the gears, and should be as entertaining as it was in the first 20 laps if we can get going. But we have a 6-lap stint to finish out the stage first before we can even attempt to think about a green flag run. It is still, as it has been for the last several cautions, Proudfoot out front with Hagen and Height continuing their battle for P2. And yeah. Green flag back in the air. Oh, big wheel spin too. That's gonna bottle everybody up.
I think it's clear of Hagen.
Yeah, she'll be pretty happy about that.
Very happy.
Down the back straightaway now. Slow car on the bottom. That is a very stricken Byron Jones, who's got the front end put back on that car after the most recent caution flag. 4 to go in the stage. It's Proudfoot, Height, and Hagen.
For the back. Fast making his way forward as is Henderson. Kelly Height leaving pit lane now. To go on by here. Nice 96 of Jonathan Adams and the 96 Dylan McDonald, top 10 right now. Looking for some stage points. Ready to go in the stage. Proudfoot now under attack. Proudfoot, Height, and Hagen. A little bit of space, and you have Kamen and Henderson top 5. Sassick, Meredith, Adams, McDonald, and Lehman, the top 10. Height looks high. Proudfoot drifts wide.
Yeah, kind of slide jobbed himself to hang on to the lead there. Height had a nose on the outside lane as we come to 2 to go. She's going to sniff up there once again. Hagen going to maybe... Yeah, she did last time too, but she's lifting a touch earlier here to try and get that momentum on the exit. Proudfoot defends quite nicely here, and Hagen's going to be looking at this as an opportunity as well. They're going to have 1 to go in the stage this time by, which is a shame considering we've got ourselves a race again. Four cars under a blanket for the lead, as you mentioned. White flag in the stage. This will be effectively for the stage win, but I don't know that anybody's going to have a whole lot to do here. I think Proudfoot will hold on for this stanza. Height looks like she tried a couple of times, but she would need another lap or 2 for this run to generate, which would be fine and dandy, but they're going to come single file across the stage. So it'll be Proudfoot, Height, Hagen, Gaiman, Henderson, Sasek, Adams, McDonald, and then Peach and Meredith are fighting for that final spot. Meredith hangs on. Peach in 9th, Meredith 10th. And the caution, I guess, once again now for the stage break. Stage 1 in the books. Proudfoot is stage 1 winner. Again, it's Proudfoot, Height, Hagen, Gaiman, Henderson, Sasek, Adams, McDonald, Peach, and Meredith, the point scorers here. I think most critically there is Dylan McDonald, who is kind of fighting for his ride right now, putting in a good effort and getting some stage points. And John Adams, who barely made the show, putting it in P7 at the end of the first stage. So well done to both of them. And Proudfoot continuing where he left off. He won. He's ended last week in victory lane and is starting this one with a green and checkered flag. Pit lane will be open, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of the field come in, but since a lot of the field, this is another thing that will happen now. A lot of the field was pitting for tires or pitting for repairs earlier, so I have a feeling we'll have a couple of faces at the front of the field here, because everyone's going to have to make another pit stop regardless. We'll step away for a quick ad break here on Twitch as we let you watch the pit lane festivities. So I guess we'll call it a pause for station identification and be back in a moment. You're watching the BFL 300, Stage 1 complete. Congrats to Proudfoot on winning it. We'll be back in a sec. Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway here in Concord, North Carolina. So we're currently working the BFL 300. We're just concluding stage number 1. It has been a very caution-filled stage, as it has been for a lot of the season. But thank you for hanging in there with us as we get ready to start stage number 2, which should carry us to the halfway point and then should set us up for the final half of this race. Again, we had a very good start to the first stage, Carmen, but then it kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah, a mixture of cautions that didn't need to happen and racing incidents that sort of mired that stage, but now it's a chance to kind of refresh the palette. It's another long stage here to sort of get everything put back together here. Everyone's had a chance at this point, if they hadn't spent it in practice, to actually figure out what they've got and what they don't have. I mean, the first 23 laps were fantastic. Were absolutely amazing.
Gave us a glimpse.
See if we can get more of
It's a bit of a carrot dangle situation, isn't it?
Yes.
It gives you a... Again, it shows you what these boys and girls can do. We just have been looking for it for, well, most of the season.
Contact there between Poznanski and Britton.
Oh, have we?
Not
now?
sure what for.
Quick look at it here. Was taking a look
Looks
at
like
the schedule and missed it, but it looks like you have Britton down on the apron, Poznanski up on the outside lane. It's just guys not paying attention, isn't it?
See, it looks like there was a recalibration thing going on there for Britton's machine, according to the radio.
Yeah, but okay.
Still sketchy.
Yeah, I don't buy it, but fair enough, I suppose. Green Room Dispensary, the sponsor of William Britton, perhaps maybe had a little sample of the supply before he got in the car tonight. Who knows? But
You know what? Poznanski's in a better boat. He's got Miller High Life on that car.
yeah, well, would you rather have a drunk race car driver or a stoned race car driver? It's really not a great combo either way. I know one thing I want. It's not a stoned race car driver and a drunk race car driver near each other. Oh God. So we'll try it again, shall we? Very arduous stage break here, about 5 laps behind the pace car.
Yeah, longer than normal.
Yeah, I'm not sure why exactly, but probably had to do with when the caution was thrown, because typically they wait for the top 10 to cross start finish line, so they probably had to do that extra lap. So that would probably explain what happened. And since there was no wreck, there weren't a whole lot of replays to look at, which makes this caution by comparison feel a lot longer. Maybe it's just the fact that it's our 5th caution of the night. So be it. Pace car going to take the hard left down pit road. We'll see Fred in a few laps. I have a feeling he's stepping Poznanski on old tires, as is Britton. It's Proudfoot, Hagen, Height, Henderson, Gaiman on freshies behind. Green flag back in the air. Stage sweep underway.
Poznanski got loose. Britton got looser.
Gonna be 3.5 going into turn 3. Didn't work last time.
That is sort of poetic how Britton forced it. That ended up being 3-1 on the bottom there with Katie Height, when last time we saw 3-1 between the two.
It was Height face, yeah, forcing the 3 wide.
They made it through that time though.
Yeah, but they're not quite done yet. And there's some contact from Britton into the back of Hagen. Hagen hard into the wall, and they're going to scatter, and Hagen has no control of the car and is going to clean out the back half of the field. And that's the big one, gang. That's Moutre in it. Flores got a piece of it. Zier's destroyed. Thompson's involved. Wygent, they're still wrecking down the backstretch. Good Lord. That's Donaldson trying to get it spun around. That's Selena getting it turned around there. It baffles. There's nothing left to say, honestly. It all starts with John Hagen getting turned. Pretty much got just hit square in the back by William Britton. He overcorrects it. And at this point, he's got no steering. His car is permanently hooked to the right because he was trying to correct it, and as he bounces off the wall, he doesn't have any time. Comes down, cleans out Sosi, Swatsworth, Zier, Thompson. Who else is that in there? Just take your pick. They're probably in it. That was one of the HTL restarts of all time, I'm afraid. Here's Hagen. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, Hagen just got shipped in the middle of the corner there, I'm afraid. Again, just kind of comes back to being way too impatient, way too early, and everybody else just decides that they're bored and want to get involved in a wreck. Cautions breed cautions. And that's going to take out a lot of people. A couple drivers we missed that are in some way affected by this. Looks like Constantinou is involved. Yeah, that's her with her front clip gone, so she's done for the day, at least as far as trying to win this thing. Overstat's destroyed. Apperson's got damaged. DJ Trout's wounded. Santiago was getting repairs as well. There's only about 17 or 16 cars that didn't get involved in that. So it really is the back half of the field. Yeah, that's... Not really much else to talk about, is there, Carmen? It's going to be a bit of a dead air race tonight. Really can't poke around.
I can't say what I want to say.
Yeah.
We're in this position right now where we can't say what we want to say, so
not much to
I just
say.
have to bite my tongue.
Mama always said, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. But that's not true. My mama always said, if you got something not nice to say it. It's really interesting. But that got me into a lot of trouble early in my career. Oh, goodness. My mom might not be the smartest woman in the world, but she didn't raise a wuss, that's for sure. 94 car comes down pit road to get some tires and fuel. Don't think we'll do another ad break, because I don't think Twitch lets you do those back to back, but we are going to pause for a minute and save our voices. Oh, we can. So we'll be back to the Patriot Day Parade at Charlotte here on HTL on ABN. BFL 300 back underway in a minute. Welcome back to the HTL Cup Series BFL 300 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're getting ready to go back to green. 39 to go in stage number 2. Anybody who pit under this last caution should be able to make it the distance, so long as they don't get caught up in the 4th big one of the night. We know it's coming. It's just a matter of when. But for the time being, it's height out front. Alongside Poznanski, who gets a terrible restart. Green flag back in the air. Try it again, I guess. What else can you do?
Shout out to Lilac Zier, who is still running around right now with no front bumper. That is not going to be fun.
No, it's not, but I'm pretty sure, and you can see...
This car already tight.
Yeah. Pretty sure, aren't you the gal who wheeled a Champ Car machinery around Motegi, one of the flattest tracks on the calendar with no rear wing. I think we know a thing or two.
Oversteer over understeer any day of the week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, until you have no rear wing, ask Katie Height how she felt about that in Hyper Formula at Fuji. I think you do need that rear wing sometimes.
A little bit.
Ask me how I know when you have a flat tire in the middle of a Monaco rally. It's not very fun.
On my side, it is found.
Wygent. Trout trying to make a comeback after getting caught up in a wreck. Quite a few of them, in fact. None of them his fault, though. Was doing quite nice to start off this race. Started up front, put on a good show. Still has something to show for it, but now going to show some donuts to Casey Wygent. A couple of the rookies getting after it as they all single file out now. It's Height from Proudfoot, then Gaiman and Piznansky. Carmen, their single file. We might get about 4 or 5 green flag laps. Can you believe it?
I'm glad they're giving us they're giving us these carrots to sort of dangle in front of our faces, and just in time for our 3rd anniversary up Thursday.
Ha! Yeah.
Someone was mad on the radio. I'm not sure who it was. It sounded like Matthew Boone.
I'm sure it's everybody at this point.
I'm not sure what's going on there with the 28 car, but it sounded like someone was hot.
HTL drivers getting angry at each other before the halfway point. In other words, the sky is blue. It couldn't have been Boone because he's in the pit lane. Battle for the lead. Proudfoot on the outside of Height. And Proudfoot will take that momentum and should clear. Height not going to side draft too hard either, it doesn't look like. It's going to tuck in behind and try and save some tires. And defend against Gaiman.
Correction, it's Gary Donaldson. That was the issue. He is in pit lane now, but he wasn't before.
Well, unfortunate. In the words of our good friend Jacob Gregory, well, these things happen, man. Side by side for P6, it looks to be. It's Sasek, Britton, and that is Henderson. They're all kind of battling over that, squabbling over that, as is the 12 of Piznansky. So this is actually 4th through 7th. So old tires versus new, basically, right here.
Boone leaving pit lane now. A little bit of a bobble there by Henderson.
And a 4-car accordion on the way into turn number 3. As they all ran each other over. Hunter Peach trying to get some on the top. Britton in the wall again, and everybody's going to try and scatter.
Ooh, very close.
Good bits of driving from both McDonald and Lily Pelletier Sharp, who we could very easily say this time last year that would have been a caution.
Front of the field, not missing a whole lot right now. It's Proudfoot, Height, and Gaiman 1, 2, 3. Sasek 4th. Henderson's gotten away with 5th place at the moment, but is a pick your favorite driver because they're able to go side by side behind.
Yeah. Update for the Cali Height fans. She's had her fill tonight. She's brought it behind the wall. She's done for the day. Probably the smartest one out there.
Park it up, get some hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
Tough one to swallow when you get wrecked under caution.
Yeah.
Got one through the dirt. That's Zachary Meredith showing us that he's excited for the release of EA Sports WRC as well. Holds on to it. Not quite airmail. It's the National Guard car, not the Air Force car. Zach, keep that thing on the ground. Something crayons. I don't know what that meme is, but think it's Marines and Crayons. I don't remember. One of them eats crayons.
That would be the Marine Corps.
Yeah, the Marine Corps eats crayons. So I guess not the National Guard. But...
Meredith trying to get around Trout here. Still working on that 20 car.
Yeah, I gotta say.
Trout's being impressive.
Yeah, Trout's doing a nice job bouncing back from that mistake. We got a battle for the lead again as Height's coming back to challenge on Proudfoot, who may have burned up those tires just a little bit. We mentioned Height probably saving a bit, as was Gaiman. Proudfoot thinking he could burn some of those tires, get the clean air, and hopefully oh my goodness, Gaiman is gonna just about get away with that.
He's gonna lose a spot out of it.
Well, he's gonna need a new pair of pants, I'm sure, as well. That is simultaneously the most Gaiman thing I've ever seen, while also being the most Gaiman thing I've ever seen. A completely unforced error followed up by probably some of the best raw talent we've seen in a very long time. It is insane how on and off that boy is. Good save, though. But yeah, Trout doing a nice job recovering after all the things he's been through so far. Still to have a good run on for tonight. But the battle is at the front of the field. Proudfoot, who wanted to get the clean air, made it work for a little bit. Still making it work for the moment, but Height trying to find a way through as these tires start to change hands a little bit, and they're racing pretty hard. They still all have to make a pit stop up here in the front, I would imagine. I don't think we've had quite enough pace laps for them to be able to make it, but some drivers towards the back are good to go on fuel. So keep that in mind as well if this thing goes green. Yeah, never mind.
I was waiting to see where that was going to go. Yeah. It was a really good battle though at the front though, and it's thinned out enough that if there is an issue, it's going to be an unforced error that neutralizes the field. Again, riding on board with the 11, looking at Brandon Proudfoot, who almost looked like he was stepping out there a little bit. I think it was just a little bit of trickery from the camera.
Yeah, I think, well, they're just riding on that right rear so much. And you know him, he's a dirt racer. He's probably riding the right rear a bit more aggressively anyways. That's kind of how he likes to drive these cars. Similar to what we see from Bia Constantinu, who just really likes to drive off of the sidewall of these tires, only he does it a bit more smoothly. We see when
a lot of experience there. Yeah,
well, not even just that, but also driver style, because Constantinu's got some decent experience as well driving cars on the limit. She's just used to sawing the wheel back and forth. Proudfoot's like, you know, it's like that episode of SpongeBob where he makes the Krabby Patty and he just tucks in the pickles with the lettuce. It's just so gentle and ginger. He's got an egg underneath that throttle pedal when he's using it, and you know, he's his own stability management system. And then you got other people who just go ham, jellyfish jam on that stuff, and they still make it work. It's the different driving styles that work. But Proudfoot right now, caressing the throttle, if you will, nursing that 31 car around the track, and Height in the tire tracks. Forgive me for the analogies. We got to try to find something here. It's Proudfoot and Height, followed by Sasic. Battle with Gaiman and Adams for P4 now. Is Gaiman going to be struggling on those Goodyears for the rest of the stint, I would reckon. He probably took quite a bit of life out of it. Also lost a lot of confidence, I'm sure. Not every day you get away with that down the front straightaway.
Spin, not sure who, not sure where. Someone's got to spin around this track. Staying green, so whatever it is, not a big enough issue.
Gaiman's had a mistake.
Oh.
Or is he pitting? Has he decided to pit? He has decided to pit, so it's not a mistake, forgive me. But he is going to make his scheduled stop, so I apologize.
Left to go.
Yeah. Oh, but he slid his box, so I guess I called the mistake ahead of time. Oh my goodness, he missed it by about a mile.
That's gonna hurt him.
Yeah. He's currently gonna be scored as the leader on timing and scoring as he's reversed across the start-finish line.
Yeah, no.
That's an interesting one. So Proudfoot leads over Height and Sasic. But pit stops kicking off now with 18 to go in the stage this time by.
And to assume there's going to be pit stops in the stage.
Yeah, from the leaders at least. Several drivers in the back of the field did pit and should be good to go though. So I don't think anybody's hoping for a caution, to be fair, but if you're trying to win the stage and you're proud footer height, you are hoping for one because that's the way that you're going to win the stage still. Because there are some people that played strategies towards the back that are going to be able to stay out and get stage points. So.
Still down near the front of the field between Height and Proudfoot. Sasic being left in the dust a little bit here. And with Gaiman having that issue on pit lane, he's not going to be anywhere near this fight now either.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a huge talking point there. Katie Height comes in.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time with Sasic. He's got a solid top 10 car every week. He comes in, puts it around top 15, top 10. But everybody around him just steps on their toes so hard. He may not ever have the fastest car in the field, but he keeps getting podiums. He keeps getting top 5s and top 10s because he just exists. And that's a hard thing to do at HTL. So credit where credit's due. He's avoided the calamity and put himself in a good position. Kate does not slide the box. So eyes now on Proudfoot. And is it just me, Carmen, or have should the lights have come on by now? Because it's looking quite dark on the racetrack.
The lights are on, but they're partially on.
Yeah, I think we should.
Because the sunlight's still out enough. But I think we're about 15 minutes away from that huge transition where we'll see more of the
LOD swap. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking. Yeah, I was about to say, did somebody forget to pay the electricity bill, or what's going on here? But
no, I was looking up. Down towards turn 1 and 2 as Proudfoot comes in this time.
Nice and solid entry. That will hand the lead to Sasic now, by the way, who will get some points led. 14 to go on the stage this time by as well. Now again, they are now going to be battling for the stage win. There's the LOD change, and there's the lights. It's like they heard me, Carmen. Somebody up there, somebody down in the booth went, "Oh my God, the lights!" and ran over to the control panel as soon as they heard that. So, thank you, lights guy and or girl. We appreciate your efforts to keep the track lit.
Sasic leads the way. Peltier Sharp in second. Then it's Adams, Wygen, and McDonald. All of them have to make a pit stop. Again, the first cars that don't have to make a pit stop, potentially DJ Trout, who pit on lap 58. So if it's close, Trout would be the first one to have a chance to make it. And then you look at Lehman, Apperson, Estep, Swathworth, Denny. You have the opportunity if they're going to. Two laps led for Eli Sasic right now. Started this race 16th. Has not been any lower than 16th, so he's always been making his way up.
Mm-hmm.
So not a bad effort there for the number 9 crew. But still a lot of work to do in this stage, coming to 11 laps to go.
Battle for P2 right now between Sharp, Wygen, Adams, and McDonald. Excuse me, that's not McDonald, that's actually Proudfoot working his way through the traffic here, just ahead of Height. So that's the battle for the de facto lead, but they will not be the stage win battle. So those are going to be the two leaders after the stage ends. There you see, that was Sasic coming into pit lane. So they're trying to unlap themselves here.
Yeah. Yeah, very critical if they can get ahead of all of these cars. If they can get ahead of Wygen and get back on the lead lap, that is an insurance policy in case a caution comes out, because who knows if someone misses the pit box. Or someone misses the pit lane. 3 wide.
Yeah, they're going to split Wygen.
In the middle.
I don't know how Proudfoot was the one who clipped the wall through all that, but Height going to try to go 2 for 1 and will do so. So
Wild stuff there for Katie Height.
Well, earlier in the race, she made it 3 wide, and it really wasn't particularly her fault, but caused a big old wreck as a result, indirectly, and thought, well, maybe I'll try it again, and this time it works, and it does. So she'll be up front, but right now it's Pacey Wygant who leads the field and is 8 laps away from a stage victory over Adams and Lehman. So as they sail off into the sunset, they are currently still only running in 19th position, but they've made their pit stop.
The big question right now, when does Wygant and Adams come in? Because they need to come in. They've been on lap 52.
Well, you can hear the silence in the 24 Wygant, so he might be trying to stretch it. He rolled by the camera there, and there was 0 audio coming out. It was just you know it all too well, Carmen, the silent whoosh, the ghost of an engine.
Yeah.
There it is again. So.
Yeah, he's clutching going into 3 and 4.
Yeah. Maybe he thinks he can make it to the end of the stage. He's only got to go 7 more laps to do that.
And he's got some space between himself and Jonathan Adams, who may be doing the same thing. Only issue is that Nathan Lehman is closing in pretty heavily now. And Lehman can go to the end.
Yeah,
pretty
so this
safely
is,
here.
and
he
was bad quick too. So.
Looking at Lehman, trying to get around Adams. And the more that Adams holds him up, the better it is.
God, look
for
at this.
Wygant.
Yeah, this is Trout in 7th with Apperson. This is the battle for roundabout top 5, and then you've got Peltier Sharp, who's made a tire stop trying to work her way through, as is some of the other drivers on that screen.
Just a fuel stop for Peltier Sharp.
Oh, bold strategy there.
I think the objective was to try to stay out and stay on the lead lap, but it didn't work.
Yeah, you can hear Wygant still clutch coasting here, so trying to see maybe not if go for the stage win, but if can't get the stage win, get some stage points.
Get some solid stage points. Yeah, right now there's Nathan Lehman coming up on him. Lehman looking for his first stage win in HTL with 5 laps to go.
He will probably get it because Wygant can't just suddenly turn the car back on. He's running to a number and he's trying to make it to the end of the stage. So he's going to have to accept what's about to happen here. But he's doing quite nicely. It's interesting to see him using this strategy, and Lehman's slowing down a little bit. So,
yeah, he got to that dirty air. And now side by side with Josh Gaiman, who's going to pinch him down a little bit.
Yeah, Gaiman on the fresher tires, who, by the way, that's how much of a gap that mistake cost him. He's just now unlapping himself. He's about a half a racetrack behind our race leaders when they cycle through, I should say.
Entrance slides in right behind Josh Gaiman, very smart.
Yeah, you got to get that arc when you're clutch coasting. Anything less, you're going to really hurt yourself and really make those tires scream. And you can see Lehman closing in. I think I'm surprised he's slowed up as much as he has as he's gotten here. I wonder if maybe he was a little bit close on fuel anyway, because he's not been saving. Wygant has, so Wygant may be saving a little extra so that he can push a bit here, but this is going to be the battle for stage 2. The win as they come to 2 to go in the stage this time by. Lehman and Wygant, both of them were clutch coasting that time by, so we'll see.
Very marginal.
Lehman's going to clutch coast just a little less every time. Hunter Peach couldn't hang on. He pits. Or actually, no, I think he blinked out. Never mind.
Peach is fine, but he also pit on lap 52, so he's also in the fuel save mode right now. Wygant still leads Lehman. Pressure is on now with 2 to go. Less than 3 miles left to play. Peltier Sharp not going to be able to get a lap back if these 2 don't crash.
It wouldn't count it out. She will be the lucky dog, though, I believe.
Yeah, right now she will be.
Final lap in the stage. Lehman tries to make his move on the outside of Wygant, but Wygant was not clutching quite as hard. He would like to win the stage if he can, but he's not going to be able to yet. He looks a bit helpless here, but Lehman not as strong as we had thought. Wygant gets a bit loose, though, and I think that's going to cost him an opportunity. He cannot side draft that 16 car. So Nathan Lehman on the final lap will scoot through. Now, the other thing is the caution doesn't come out immediately.
He comes out in the top 10.
Yeah,
the
so
line,
they're gonna
which
have
is
to.
Peach.
You're gonna have to keep an eye on the fuel still. Of course, Lehman will win the stage from Wygant. Then it's Adams, Apperson, Arnold, Swatsworth, Estep just snubbed Meredith, who may be out of fuel and is out of fuel. So he will fall to 9th, but will get credit for 8th in the stage. DJ Trout gets 9th and Hunter Peach 10th, but Meredith is out of gas. You can hear it. Yeah, you could hear it sputtering on the way by there.
You have to come in for emergency service, but
Yeah.
it's easier to come in for emergency service at the beginning of the
Oh,
caution.
I don't know if he's gonna make it. Yeah, but he may not make it around. Because that car's already sputtering. He's going to try and get a push from Santiago here, I think. Or Santiago offered, it looked like. Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it, Carmen. He is in a lot of trouble here. That car will not make it down to the pit lane. It's a matter of where his pit box is. He won't make it down to the end of the pits, though, under that power. You can see that red light indicating that the pit lane is closed. Obviously, he needs to come down. He's already lost a lap at this point. Where's his box at?
I think that is the 25 of Henderson coming in for emergency service.
Emergency service, yeah. I think both of them are out of gas as they are going very much under the speed limit.
Meredith just might get to it. Leader's coming in now.
Yeah, this is going to be chaos because now they're going to have to negotiate the stricken 17 car as he tries to coast slowly down the pit lane.
Meredith's got a top 5 box.
That's what I was saying.
All the way to the end.
And here it is. Here's Lehman and Apperson. He's just about got in, and he does get to his box, but he's going to lose round about a lap and a half to do it. So
not worth it.
No, not even close. And on top of that, he's going to have to start at the tail end of the longest line anyway because he entered a closed pit lane.
Not worth it at all.
Yeah, critical error from the 17 who tried to make it but just didn't have enough. This will shake things up again too because a lot of drivers staying out. A lot of drivers coming in for the emergency service. A lot of drivers pitting. Some drivers taking more fuel than others. Some drivers taking less fuel. There's a whole lot going on right now. Currently, Pacey Wygant is scored as the leader, but he will have to pit here in a moment. Looks like he may be out of gas now as well. Pit lane's still closed and more drivers coming in, so. Looks like it's going to be Lehman and Apperson and Arnold out front. Is that right? That seems a bit topsy-turvy. Nathan Lehman scored as the leader as it stands, with Apperson, Arnold, and Trout behind. It's Estep then Height, Santiago, Proudfoot. While we take a quick moment to give our voices a rest and get a drink. You're watching the BFL 300 here, part of the HTL Cup Series, as we are about to get stage 3 underway as we get the one to go. We'll hold silent for just a few more seconds before we get back under green here for the final half of this event. So the pace car is going to pull off, and into the pit lane as well will come Nathan Lehman and the rest of the field. Not sure what this is about.
This is not something we were relayed information on.
Go
I
figure.
believe this may be a red flag.
Wonder what for, though. We're going to stop the field. Down there, the pace car is going to go back out, so...
This is a moment of silence.
Oh. Well, it would have been nice if we got the memo on that, eh? Well, I've seen about everything, Carmen, but I don't think we've ever had 2 red flags in a season. Now we have. This one not for a wreck, though, but yeah. Sun continues to set. They'll set the cars back out on the racetrack, and I suppose they'll throw the caution again. Yeah, the caution is back out, so I imagine this is going to keep scoring all in a tizzy, and we'll have another 5 laps rather behind the pace car. So I guess we'll get the green with 90 to go, 89 to go. Again, that red flag kind of copying what NASCAR does in their Coke 600. That was not in our notes, so
hang on, we're not going
apologies
green. Not going green.
For not getting the memo and giving that probably the attention it deserved, but that's what that was all about. And yeah, I'll rack it up and we'll get back to racing here in a moment. Although that does not answer the interesting question, is why they were all single file. I'm not sure if that was an admin requested situation or
was an admin request situation because they all came in parked single file.
Gotcha. There you go. So just past halfway, we've had 7 cautions, a quarter of the race laps we've ran so far under the safety car. We've had 10 lead changes and 1 red flag. So that's a fun little stat. I don't know. LTA Sharp is still on the track and in the number 8 car, but I'm sure she was, she may be French, but she was absolutely chomping at the bit to have the opportunity to park the car under a red flag. Shades of Gran Turismo days. But yeah, evidently, we will now get ready for the second half of this race, which will hopefully be a lot better than the first. It'll be Lehman and Apperson on the front row with Trout and knee-step height in 5th, and Santiago, Proudfoot, Flores, Swatsworth, and Pacey Wygant the top 10. You'll have Hunter Peach, Eli Sasek, Alfred Denny, Josh Arnold, Steven Oberstadt, Josh Gaiman, John Adams, Dylan McDonald, Bobby Blowers, Lilac Zier, the top 20. And those are the cars that are on the lead lap.
Whoa!
And a horrible restart for Lehman. They're going to split them 3 wide. And DJ Trout is going to try to go to the lead. Height giving the bumper to the back of the young kid in the number 20. But Lehman trying to carry that momentum back on the outside. Everybody's going to stagger around. Yeah, he held on despite a horrible restart.
That restart was caused by Trout because Trout got into the backup. That's why Lehman moved up.
Well, there you go. The other thing too is sitting on the pace or on the pit lane like that in the red flag is going to make the tires cold as they were earlier. So another one of those ice cold situations, not going to help things at all. Chad dubbing Nathan Lehman the Iceman as he leads on the inside lane, but it's Brandon Proudfoot now back to the front for the first time since before the cycle of pit stops at the end of stage number 2. It's Lehman, then the Iceman, Apperson, Height, Trout, E-Step, Swatsworth, Santiago, Wygant, and Flores, the top 10 as they run. Down the back straightaway they go. Proudfoot trying to shake the draft just a little bit. I think he messed up his line a little on entry to turn number 3, trying to break that draft. But not going to matter because they're double wide behind him, and that side draft is going to slow everybody down. And Lehman did not get a very good exit.
No, he didn't. He bobbled on the exit 4. Allows Katie had to get through. Trout to the inside as well. And the Swatsworth, that red, white, and blue on number 18.
Evidently no love lost between Trout and Lehman from that last restart. Looking back at Chad Swatsworth, from DJ Trout's POV, from his C-pillar. He tries to hold on.
To the outside lane.
Apperson.
The outside lane worked well. Wadsworth up to 4th. And it's Trout, Apperson, E-Step, Wygant, Santiago, and Flores. to fin from Slotsworth. Lehman struggling to hold on to the positions now. Slotsworth staying composed to the inside lane. Trying to get to the podium places. Trump trying to follow suit. Then there's E-Step in the 94. 24 of Wygen sitting in 7th position. Slotsworth gets clear. And Lehman's hung out the drive. To the back, Santiago on the outside lane. Trying to battle the assist duo of Flores and Sasek. That's what that makes Paul Sharp, first car lap down. Slotsworth got loose. And now Trout's got a chance at the top 3. Lehman cuts in front of E-Step. Wide to the outside lane, gonna try to make the pass for 2 and 1 go. Lehman all over the place. Moves to the inside lane, but Wygen will go through. And Lehman is a sitting duck. E-Step goes through now. As Lehman continues to fall backwards. It is a stack up behind Lehman and E-Step. Multiple cars all in one go here. Lehman drifts up tight. Sasek watching just beyond. Then there's Matthew Boone, several laps down. Trying to scavenge points wherever you can find them. The 90 of Santiago.
Yeah, nearly contact there. They nearly came to blows in turn 3. E-Step really wanted to get that position made on Lehman, who is, look at this, he's got it all to do behind him as he tries to hold off an angry mob of the midfield here.
Yeah, whatever happened to Lehman's car, he has not got it dialed in here. He was extremely quick in stage 2, but it has fallen away completely here in the start of stage 3. There goes Flores in the 99.
Peltier Sharp gave a shot to the back of Santiago as well in the middle of 3 and 4.
It's whatever Lehman's not in right now. And everyone's scrambling for the same.
There's not a lot on offer either. Shot from Poznansky to the back of Boone. Oh, there goes the 90.
Santiago on his own. Off the racing surface and still playing the right direction, so we stay green.
Significant damage, though, to that car.
Yeah, absolutely. Not what Santiago wanted. Lap cars in the middle of this contest right now, and it's frustrating the likes of Poznansky and Sasek. About the A-Sharp, the first car a lap down. Boone, several laps down. Oh, issue! Josh Galen did the same thing, and that is a problem, and there comes the caution. Gaiman got loose the same way that Santiago did, and then got helped to finish around.
Yeah, and he finds himself back there in the chicane from last week. It's a bit late there, but yeah, he perfectly slid in there and in the bump out, eh?
See what happened here with Josh Gaiman. He's gonna get loose. You're gonna see him bobble it.
Looks like he had a little bit of netcode to finish him off.
A little bit of netcode off from McDonald, yeah.
I mean, it was an unforced error on his part, but I think he probably would have held on to that, all things considered. It was a little bit of netcode on top of that that really just kind of cooked his goose. And what on earth are we doing here?
Checking up for the pace car.
Yeah, well, about wrecking up for the pace car, it looks like. Pit lane's open. So, leader of the 31 car, Proudfoot gonna pit. Peach is gonna stay out along with Gaiman and Trout and Height and a handful of others. So Boone out front to get the wave around. Peach is going to be the leader. I think is that Poznanski is going to get the wave around as well. Poor old Henderson is not going to get a wave around because Peach is staying out. But now Peach decides to pit after he's led a lap, so that will hand things back off, and that will allow Henderson to get his lap back on the wave by. This should hand the lead back off to Brandon Proudfoot now, and it does. So it'll be Proudfoot and Height, followed by Trout and Swatsworth. Casey Wygant back up into the top 5 now. Well, it's not quite been the nightmarish night of the last couple weeks on the short track swing. It still has not been a particularly clean event tonight. Spent 30 laps behind the pace car out of 124. Still got 77 to go in this one, just a little bit past halfway. We're at 8 cautions, so I would say we're on track for about 13, 14, 15 cautions if the trends continue. As they are now anyway. But yeah, we've got a nice even 30, about to be 31. We'll get the green flag here in a minute. Granted, a couple of these were for stage breaks, but a handful, most of them were not. So but that is our race summer. We have had 11 lead changes, and when we have had some green flag racing, it's been pretty solid stuff at the front of the field. See what can happen here. We'll get the 1 to green. The drivers that are lapped down will get the wave by, including Zach Meredith, who ran out of gas at the end of the stage, so he'll get a lap back as well. And this will give Proudfoot and Height some room to brawl with DJ Trout to continue to try to impress us all as one of the youngest, not youngest, but one of the freshest talents in the grid. Then Pacey Wygant, Estep, Lehman, Sasek, Adams, and McDonald, the top 10.
Coming to 75 laps to go. Two pit stop race, effectively.
Yeah.
No, maybe I said it might
maybe
be a
a 1. Yeah, it
maybe
could be 1 if you
race,
stretch
actually.
it. They stretched it pretty far, so.
Yeah, they made it to about 48 laps before, so it should be 1 stop race.
But that's good news, though. That's good news because if we have a fuel mileage race, they're less likely to wreck again, so. Should give us a chance for some green flag running.
Into the green flag here. Restart underway. Proudfoot and Height. Lead us back to racing. Away and clear. That's Trout below the white line. And Trout might have trouble. I'm not sure if this is a drive-through penalty for Trout or not.
Looks like he's got an issue larger than that. It's almost like he had a tire going down, but that would be the case, so I'm not sure. Could have been a drive-through for sure, but guess we'll find out. Yeah. Up front, it's still Proudfoot and Height at the lead, but they've opened up a bit of a gap over Swatsworth, Wygen, and now Estep and Lehman fighting for the fifth position as well.
Yeah, Lehman trying to recover because he was dropping like a stud. Oh, McDonald and Estep got together.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Luckily, no harm, no foul in that, but that could have been gone passing quickly. We've seen Netcode already have his hand in some of the affairs tonight. And McDonald immediately goes to the high line trying to get around the 94. Seems like he's still struggling for pace. Oh, there we go again. Once again, Estep goes high, McDonald goes low. And McDonald will try to pick off Estep here. Stays to the bottom. Lehman can't get there. As another car gets the apron. That was Swansworth.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They got one in the wall as well for good measure. I think that might have been Denny. It is Denny that's in the wall in the dog line. So what's happened to him now? Because he will drop quite far through the field.
Down to 18th right now. One up right in front of Santiago.
He was having none of that. It's not DJ Trout in third position on the lead. Oh, whoa, we got another one going through the grass there in the mid-pack.
That was Estep, I think.
And he's just about held on to it.
That stops the race, 30.19.
Yeah, he's currently tucked in behind DJ Trout, who's third on the track, but a lap down now, so he's going to have to... Well, he doesn't have to move, but Wygen would be hoping he moves out of the way so he can continue to chase down the two leaders, because Wygen's having a great night tonight. To go at the line. And Wygen has cleared Trout. And there's Swatsworth, who also had to serve a penalty, so I'm not sure if that's from the incident limits or not, I wonder. And Wygen is very quickly approaching both of the leaders now for position. So he's dispatched DJ Trout, the lapped car now, which by the way still has a lot of pace, but Trout with that penalty gonna have to try and hang on and fight with Swatsworth over that lucky dog position. Currently it is Trout that has it because Swatsworth has not gone a lap down yet. But pacey Wygen putting in the work right now and catching up to Proudfoot and Height. Impressive pace from this 24 now that the lights have come on and the sun has gone down. He's gone from good to great. Height had a look on Proudfoot, probably sensing a bit of the urgency now to get moving. Couldn't quite get in there. Kind of had his, kind of had her nose chopped off because Proudfoot came down, and which is he's entitled to do, of course. He's just defending the position, but they nearly had a bit of a touch here, and Wygen's gonna have an opportunity on Katie Height, gonna pull to her inside. Not quite close enough. Same thing that we just saw Height get done to her. She does now to Wygen, but Wygen stays tucked up right there. We'll go on board with the 24 Pacey Wygen. Staring at the back of the Hamilton Commission Toyota. Gets right up on the back bumper. And they're pretty well clear of Dylan McDonald, but it's worth noting Dylan McDonald, well and truly in fourth place right now. Kind of had an ultimatum gonna have to perform to keep in that 96 machine despite all those technical issues he's had. He said, hey, look, I had a lot of technical problems that were going on. They're all fixed now. We should be back to business as usual. And he called his shot. He's back up in P4 right now, doing a nice job. Scored points in the first stage as well.
Yep. Yeah, very happy that he's able to kind of get that ship corrected. Well, obviously, 3 race wins last season. For him to currently be at 0.
And nowhere close, too, yeah.
Nowhere close. In all the races he started, he's not yet finished one, so he has had a very, very rough season in the 96 car in this campaign so far. He's trying to get that ship turned around, and so far, the 96 car is in the top 5, ahead of Jonathan Adams, who's also having a really good day.
Yeah, who barely made the show, has now been up in the top 10 for most of this second half.
31st.
You've got Gaiman, who's recovered now up to 6th after his spin. Lehman in 7th. Sasek, Peach, and E-Step the top 10. Gaiman just got around Adams for 5th.
Right, board with Wygant, 3rd place car. Right now you get a little bit of the telemetry going on here.
Yeah, he's got the best seat in the house right now, watching both these leaders in front of him. It's a good little battle right now.
We're on board with the visor cam.
Yeah, this is what he's seeing right now in the race car. You can see his hand movements. We'll pull the telemetry away a bit so you can actually look at his hand movements. This is the fun thing about these cars to watch. See how much he's moving around. We saw earlier when we were riding on board with drivers like Gaiman, that wheel was moving around a lot.
A little bit of movement on the exit there for, but really stable on the entry, which is really important. With these cars are understeering, typically you try to fight for that grip on the entry. He's not really fighting for it. A lot smoother there. Runs it a little bit wide, but doesn't chase it.
Yeah.
Gets it right back down there too, and
saw him wait
really
a bit. See how he waited a bit too for height for her to slide up out of turn number 2 so that he could try to get a little bit of clean air on the exit, running about as low as he can. You can see now his height's gone even, how much ground and pace Pacey lost right there. But if Pacey can keep that left front in that clean air like he had, that's why he was able to follow Height so closely. We'll compare this now with Katie Height. We'll go on board with her. This is what she's seeing. Proudfoot catching up to the back of Swatsworth. That's Height's teammate. But watch the hands here. Let's see how much different the driving is, if any, compared to Pacey. It seems about the same here, but watch here out of turn 4. Let's see if there's any corrections. This is where the car tends to unload. It's fairly common to see some correction, just the littlest bit. A little more calm, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything either. That doesn't mean that Pacey's struggling. It just means that he was having a bit more of a moment through there. But you can also see Height putting in a bit more wheel in the front, it would seem, compared to Pacey, putting a bit more steering in, so taking a bit more of the fronts out, where Pacey's taking a bit more of the rear tires out. As Proudfoot not able to complete the pass on Swatsworth. You can see there, went to the inside. Swatsworth, trying to stay on the lead lap, is entitled to race like that, and that's exactly why.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he did what he did.
Steven Overstat is the reason for the caution being out here, and his car is stopped.
In a very bad position.
That is, I don't know if that's the entry. That looks like the entry to 3.
Yeah, that's 3.
Not sure if I have noticed that, but he did a really good job keeping it stationary until everyone got through. Overstat on the lead lap, 21st place is where he's going to end up being.
Wow,
he
was
down. That's E-Step he chased down.
Yeah, E-Step had about enough of that.
Yeah, E-Step was about done with it.
All things considered, a very gentle crash. Overstat nearly nailed the inside wall, went flying through the one little bit of natural grass that's left on this racetrack.
Could have been a lot worse for Overstat, and luckily we had enough of a green flag run there that it spread out everyone, so we didn't have what we saw earlier, like in stage 1 at the beginning of stage 2.
Yeah, exactly. And look, just pretty much runs him out of room. And E-Step, he's gonna say it wasn't intentional, but I think that was an accidental on purpose, if you know what I mean. I think he was coming up whether the 88 was gonna let him or not, and if Overstat got turned, then so be it. So that will end what was a pretty nice green flag run, and now we have the strategy split once again. So
Sixth caution for an incident in this race. So, as frantic as this race started out, reminder that we have this is the second longest race of the season behind Daytona, and it's longer than Daytona based on time.
Yeah. Same
So-
distance.
Yeah, same schedule distance at least.
Yeah.
And this is going to be very interesting because pit stops here would be very interesting because that would make the last pit stop of this race in the last 15 laps of the race.
Well, then they'd start trying to split it down the middle, but then that gets you into that's where we get into
puts you in a
champ
really
car
dang-
territory, because then we
This
get
is
the
where things get
danger
very
zone.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's where it gets very, very interesting because who blinks first? Do you blink first hoping the caution doesn't come out? Or do you try to switch as long as you can and do what we saw in the in-stage 2 with Wygen and Lehman?
These are all lapped cars coming down pit lane. So Sasek will lead over Proudfoot and Height. So Sasek on the gamble. Adams and Wygent. I think
I dislike Sasek's gamble here.
you do or
I
you don't. You cut out there.
I don't dislike it. I'm not sure that's what I would call in Sasek's situation because that kind of ensures that you have to pit before everyone else does.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets important track position.
Yeah, but we had a pretty
And-
long run there, so I'm not sure that that's going to work out. The other thing, though, is that I don't blame him for trying it because there's only about 20 cars on the lead lap, but and he's got a top 10 pace, but
I think for him, it's one of those things like he knows he's at a pit stop. When do you want that pit stop? And if you're taking that pit stop, if you're cutting it down the middle, like what everyone else has to kind of make that decision now, why not just make it simple for yourself? No, you have to come in and just grab that track position because we saw there early on in this race. Obviously, the lights are gonna and the nighttime's gonna change it a little bit. Drivers could hold on to it for a little bit out front. So this may not be the worst situation in the world. He pit on lap 122, so it's been 21 laps since he last pit. That's the difference between him and Proudfoot and Height. I don't like it. Again, I don't think I would call it, but I don't dislike it. What I would dislike is pitting now and then also cutting it short and pitting like 175 or something like that. I wouldn't like that. That would be like the least favorable option.
yeah.
This is a middle of the road decision that he's taken, and you know, for Sasek, he's in a position right now where he is safe on points right now. He's looking for a chance to win a race, looking for that track position. Knows he's got to undercut to get that to happen, but the undercut's very important.
He's thrown away an opportunity at a very realistic top 5 for what will either be a really good chance to win or probably 15th. Which he's had a lot of strong runs, as you've mentioned. He's been around. He's good on points. He can afford to take the L here if it doesn't work. And fortune favors the bold, so we'll see.
Sasek, Proudfoot, Height, and Adams, top 4. Wygent, Gaiman, Lehman, Peach, Arnold, Apperson, top 10. Meredith and Posnansky, row 6. Denny and Flores, row 7. Henderson and Swadsworth, row 8. And for Swadsworth, that was a godsend. Stay on the lead lap. He's got a chance. Coming to 54 laps to go.
We'll see how it goes. If he can keep from spinning the tires, I think he'll have a decent shot to go from there, but that's always the hardest part. But it's not him who spins the tires, it's Proudfoot who spins the tires. It's a great start from Sasek and a terrible one from Proudfoot.
It's clear. Now quickly the dispatches in. Oh, contact!
Proudfoot,
More
Gaiman both
contact.
in the wall.
And Gaiman's broke down right front.
Yeah.
And there's another caution. 7th incident caution of the night.
Oh, and gets Denny for his troubles at the end. That all started when probably still struggling with those chirped tires. The 31 dropped it of Proudfoot, and then Gaiman in sympathy. Here it is. You'll watch the 31 at the top of your screen. He gets tight, turns. Car gets loose, snap oversteer. Gaiman gets into the back. then gets into the wall as well, and he gets unlucky because that's what you mentioned, broke his tire, so now he's got no control over the car. Everybody scatters. Denny nearly gets through that, actually, gets clipped the first time, bounces off the wall once, and then as everybody's collecting each other, Swatsworth gets a piece of it. Poor old Denny thinks it's almost over, and then he gets hit again and gets spun down the track a second time. He got spun up the racetrack and then got spun down the racetrack in the span of about 100 feet. Rather unfortunate. But you could feel that one coming. I think it was one of those, this is the part where you're getting towards the end of the race, so people are going to get a bit more excited. There's going to be more pushing, there's going to be less shoving, or more shoving, less giving, more taking, and this is just kind of the product. Nowhere for any of these guys to go, but there we go.
This helps Sassy out a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot. It doesn't change too much of the swing of things, but it does kind of push that pit stop for him down.
Well, that's true. However, in the scope of things, he had a really good start, and the person he had to fight through turn one had a horrible start, which gave him that clean racetrack he desperately needs to make this strategy work out. Now he's going to have to restart with Katie Hyde alongside and Pacey Wygant right behind. So he's going to have a driver who is not so shy about not having the greatest feelings towards the number 9 car on his outside. And then the young and wily Pacey Wygant behind, who's going to be pushing him through the gears here. So it's going to be a bit more of a pucker factor situation here. And don't take your eyes off of the Iceman there. Nathan Lehman in 4th. He's been nursing the ice cubes quite well. He's up into the top 5. He's gained 3 positions on that last restart, so don't count him out either. Josh Arnold, again, it seems like we're starting to talk about him towards the end of these things every week. When it's a normal kind of race, he sneaks his way up into the top 5. He's on it with a nice little race as well. John Adams still floating around. Meredith on a good recovery drive after he ran out of fuel at the end of stage 2. Peach and Apperson still up there, and Elias Flores in 10th. So we officially have, well, we didn't have a 4th stage, Carmen, but we effectively do now. Because we're right at the 3/4 mark. And we'll get the restart with about 49, 48 to go. It's a very easy one-stop race from here, and if we get a caution about 10 laps in, I expect everybody to come down pit lane because they can make it from here after that.
Yeah, we pretty well sort all that out.
So we'll get the restart. It'll be 2 Toyotas, then a couple of Chevys for your troubles. Then a couple of Fords. They're 2x2x2. It's going to be a Noah's Ark restart on this one with 48 to go, 49 to go rather, when they cross the line. Just under a stage length to potentially take this thing to the checkered flag.
Everyone knows at least one pit stop left in this race. The question is, how close do you cut it? Or do you try to do what was done in stage 1, or in stage 2, excuse me, and try to save?
I think you have to, because we saw how much that penalized those drivers that pit. I mean, it's the same strategy, right? You can pull that kind of thing off here because you're off throttle so much around here. You can save a lot more fuel than you can at a typical speedway.
We're gonna find out. Who's got what? It's Sasek, Height, Wygant, Lehman, Arnold, Adams, Meredith, Peach, Apperson, and Flores, top 10.
Into the Geico restart zone. And the green flag is back out. We're underway once again with 49 to go and another solid restart from Sasek. As I mentioned, Pacey Wygant pushing him up through the gears. Pacey wants to get to the front of the field and try and make a name for himself as well. He already has. He's had a fantastic race tonight. And they're both going to clear Katie Height. Meanwhile,
Sasek got loose.
Very, very loose, and that's going to take him out of potential lead, so he's going to have to try to hang on. He still has that clean air as far as third place goes, but Pacey Wygant now to the front of the field, but for how long? Because he nearly gets hooked by Katie Height out of turn 4, but holds on. He'll lead his first laps of the night. Sasek just about holds on for third. The Iceman Lehman on the top with Adams and Arnold and company behind.
Wygant held on there really well. Sasek recovering, holding on to third place. E-step in pit lane.
Zachary and Meredith and Josh Arnold side by side there for 5th position. Or excuse me, for 6th position. Meredith has it, but now he's going to go for 5th position. He looks to the inside of Adams. Don't count him out. He won here last year. He's on the move. He was running up front when he ran out of fuel at the end of stage 2. He's recovered, and now he's back inside the top 5. You see Eli struggling on those tires just a little bit. Not getting swallowed up quite like I had expected him to after he lost the lead draft, or the lead air, but he's definitely falling back a bit now. This allows Lehman to move through. It's Wygant, Height, Lehman in the top 3. Meredith and Sasek now. Adams trying to get that 5th position on him. Peach in the mix as well. And hey, don't count out Lilac Zier. They've got the nose back on that car. She was running around without a front clip earlier. Held on, she's in 13th, and guess who's right behind her? DJ Trout, who had to serve a pass-through penalty. Don't count him out either. He's been fast all night. So Wygant leads over Height and Lehman on a career night for Wygant, who has been showing some great talent since he's replaced Cole Snyder about 3 or 4 rounds ago. He hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity to show that talent because of how many races were spent behind the pace car, but now that we finally seem to have some green flag running tonight, he's really showing his colors.
Doing a pretty good job right now. Keep an eye on that one car outside lane on his teammate there. It's Peach and Meredith side by side for 4th.
And he's got him. Meredith looking to the inside again, but not going to be able to re-attack. Hunter Peach on the move. His last win was at Auto Club at the end of last season. It's not really as much of a multi-groove racetrack as Auto Club is, but it's more so than others are on the schedule. He likes these kind of tracks, so keep an eye on the one car. He's been pretty stout all night long. And look at that, goes right around Nathan Lehman for 3rd. He is moving on that top lane. Hunter Peach onto the podium places.
That outside lane looks really good right now for that one car right now as things stand. Also, fast lap of the race belongs to Brandon Proudfoot, already back up to 13th place after being dropped down to 21st.
Yeah, a rare unforced error out of Proudfoot. He's got it all to do if he wants to try to win this thing still, but this is one of the longer races of the season, the longest race of the season. He's still got 40 laps to do it. At this point, the race will be coming to a close. He still has a little more in the tank to try to make something happen. On board with Hunter Peach.
Reeling in that 11 car right now.
Absolutely. Gosh, for Katie Height, you've got to be a little bit frustrated. You've had a 2nd place car all night, been in the podium places, but it seems like every time you get to the lead, something flips around on you and now you're back in second again. It's really the tale of the 11 car. Denny Hamlin all around right there. But hanging into second place right now has Peach up the back bumper, though. Peach is coming on a tear. I imagine that he's going to try and burn through all the tire that he can, pit early, and nurse those tires home at the end. He is on a charge right now, and saving is not on his agenda. He goes to the inside now of Height.
Not close enough to get to the inside, but
letting her know he's there. Yeah.
But it's the Canadian leading out front. Pacey Wygent. 33 spots gained. Started this race 34th in the field out of 36 cars. And did a phenomenal job in that process.
Look at Hunter Peach work that top of the racetrack. We have not seen someone that fast up there yet tonight. And he is going to get alongside and clear Katie Height. We know he's ripping through his tires right now, but he's really on a move. And that car looks hooked up.
It looks extremely hooked up. He looks extremely comfortable right now. The night right for Hunter Peach. But
worth noting, it was a day-to-night race at Auto Club, was the one that he won at the end of last season. So these are the conditions that he likes.
This is a chance for him to punch his ticket into the playoff appearance. He
Absolutely.
would love to do that. Wygent can't do that. Wygent is not playoff eligible. So that is a huge.
Oh, look at how he can just arc down. Saw Height peeking on the inside. Yeah, he saw Height peeking on the inside and just decided to pull right down in front of her, take that late apex. He's running anywhere he wants. Now he's in Pacey Wygent's dirty air. We'll ride on board still with him here. I wonder how he's going to negotiate all of this.
Yeah, man. Hunter Peach's car looks the best of anybody so far, and he's doing things that nobody else is doing right now on track. He's running the top, he's running the middle, he's running the bottom, he's changing lanes in the corners.
Oh, he had to check up big time there, though. He got really, really tight on exit. And that might open the door for Height, so the tire wear starting to show a little bit. So when does he box is the question.
That's a really good question right now. Lap 165 at 200, 46 laps to go. There's Meredith in the mix.
Yeah, we told you he was coming. It's not just because that car is camouflaged. It's hard to see, but he is right up there. He's working the top lane too.
Adams.
Yeah, he might have saw his teammate working that top lane and thought, you know what? Maybe I could do that.
Yeah, but now Peach beginning to feel the effects of it. Height trying to go back to second place as these four battle and give space to the 24 of Wygent, the Canadian driver out front. Only Canadian in the field.
Boy, the irony if he'd win on a day like today, eh? Down the back straightaway. Pacey Wygent leads over Height, and Peach, Meredith, and Adams squabbling. They're all fighting over P2 right now. It is a half a second lead by Pacey Wygent, who is just pacing himself. No pun intended. Having a great little race right now.
A lot of race to go, though, still.
Still a whole pit stop for all of these drivers yet.
Sasek in pit lane. Speaking of pit stops, Sasek has made his last stop of the race.
So keep an eye on him. What can he do? This is the critical phase of the race for him if it stays green. He needs to be able to perform well and put in solid laps without burning through the rubber, because he will and should cycle to lead this race when it's all said and done once everybody makes their pit stops. But for how long will he be able to hold on to that advantage?
Depends on when these group of cars begin to make their last pit stops. Height, now that she's gotten clear, has reeled back in 3/10 the gap at the front of the field. Adams up to third. And Adams did not use the top lane like Peach and Meredith did. But I think Meredith and Peach have showed their hand. If there's a pit stop with less than 15 laps to go, you're running every single lane.
But I don't know that they even knew they could do that. So now they showed their hand, but they showed their hand to themselves too. They know what they can do now.
Now it's a matter who can do it better.
For Peach, that was the test run. He's going to have to hang on now. He's really struggling on those tires. He needs to pit now, but I would tell you what, if Peach stays in this top 5 and we get a late race restart, 10 to go, he's going to win this race.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild time. Right now, we're coming to 31 laps to go.
This is the battle for the lead on your screen.
3 cars in it. Wygent, Height, and Adams. Katie Height started third. Started fourth, excuse me. Wygent started 34th. Adams started 31st. There's a discrepancy in that. Hunter beat up 7 spots. Meredith, where he started in 5th. Lehman down 4. He started this race in 2nd place. Henderson down 1 spot. Make that right where he started as he battles with Lehman there for the 6th spot. Proudfoot up to the top 10 and 7.
John Hagan up atop the pit box after he's crashed out of the race. He's joined the 76 crew. He just leaned over to the reporters and said, John Adams is going to win this race. Mark my words. We'll see about that. Battle for the lead right now. He currently runs in 3rd position.
Battles all over the track. Center of your screen is the lead.
And I'll tell you what, there might be something to what John Hagan is saying, because while these two are fighting, they're not fighting hard, but they are moving around. They're in dirty air. They're battling with each other. John Adams is just patiently waiting, watching. Look at that fake out by Height. Sold a dummy to Pacey Wygen to get to the top lane. Trying to roll that top. Wygen hits the apron. Gonna slide up a little bit. They're side by side for the lead. 28 laps to go in the BFL 300. Wygen not gonna give this one up. He's been saving his tires for a battle. Here it is. Keep an eye on John Adams. As he watched as this happened in front of him, he's licking his lips. And oh, by the way, Hunter Peach has not lost a whole lot more time than he lost in that initial phase. He's still very much in the mix. And they are still side by side for the lead advantage, Katie Height, but they just cannot clear one another yet. Pacey Wygen led that lap by a millisecond. Height with the advantage on the top, but Wygen on the shorter way around. This is the classic standard for oval racing. Wygen gonna move up. Watch the side draft, gonna pull that 11 car back. There it is. Gets an advantage off into turn number 3 now and dives it into the bottom. They're even once again through 3 and 4. Height leaving a little bit of room. Wygen slides up. They touch once out of turn 4. They both bobble and they both hang on, but Height's gonna have the advantage now. Wygen not giving it up. And look who's getting closer and closer. All the time gaining. They are not giving this up.
This is critical right now because Katie Height's now on the part of the track that is more
Oh,
braces.
she's cleared. She's cleared though.
Yeah, very important, but not completely.
Yeah, but she should get the she could get the momentum here though, and that should be able to carry her unless she has to check up a little bit. You mentioned in that abrasive spot she had to lift a little more, which allows Wygen to get back alongside. They've been side by side for about 3 or 4 laps. And still, nobody giving it up. Height on the top, Wygen on the bottom. This is brilliant stuff as John Adams watches from the windshield. He's got the best seat in the house.
25 laps to go. Height, does she get clear?
She is.
She does get clear.
Finally.
And she closes the door.
It took her about 5 or 6 laps, and she had to do it on the high lane. So now how poor are her tires doing?
Yeah,
How long can she last?
That right front screaming right now.
This is the race we have waited to see for a month and a half out of HTL, and here we are, and look at that. Adams to the top for the first time now to get that clean air. They're all 3 running different lanes. They stagger into turn 1.
Wygen right there on the back of Height.
He's not giving up. He's not lost any ground. He's just, for the moment, had to back out. All 3 of your leaders are battling for a crown jewel win on your screen. They all have to make one more pit stop still with 23 to go as they come to the line. It's Height, Wygen, and Adams.
E7 in front, not in contention for this, trying to stay on the lead lap. He is 18th. Sasek and Peltier Sharp battling for the first car, 1 lap down, further back. Leaders gonna try to get around E-step, going to the high lane. Does he stay up high for the race leaders? He does not. Trying to stay on the lead lap again, and Wygen's gonna have a chance to
make
go
a move,
for the race lead.
and he gets it. And Height's
Katie Height
pitting.
comes down pit line.
Critical moment here. She cannot speed. She cannot miss her box. It was aggressive on pit in, and guess who comes in with her? Hunter Peach.
Hunter Peach.
So this is where things start to pop off here. This is the pit cycle. So will they make a clean pit stop or not? They now dispatch the 94 and go on to continue. So Wygen's clear, Adams is not. Do they get in and out of the pit lane cleanly?
When does Wygant and Adams come in? Also,
They have to come in soon, surely. They can wait maybe no more than 3 laps before they start giving up a lot of time. They will have the advantage at the end, though, the longer they stay out. So it's all about finding that balance.
4 tire stops for Peach and Height.
I feel like
4 tire stops are going to be the way to go.
I think you have to do a 4 tire stop, at least if you're at the front. Maybe if you're Blake Henderson or Elias Flores. Hell, if you're Lilac Zier, throw a curveball, take 2 tires there. But if you're at the front of this field, it's got to be a 4 tire stop. There's no way around that with 20 to go. That's almost a full fuel run.
Seeing 4 tire stop for Jack Wadsworth and Proudfoot. 4 tire stops all the way around. Trout and Merritt as well.
Sharp in pit lane as well, DJ Trout. There you can see the pit stop times for all the drivers as they continue their way down pit lane. So as it runs right now, we have 20, now 19 to go. This is the battle for the lead and the de facto lead as it stands between Pacey Wygant and John Adams. However, Hunter Peach and Katie Height have made their pit stops and they are on fresh tires, gaining all the time right now. Down the backstretch there, that car in the background is a lapped car, not a factor right now. This is the battle for the lead between these 2 cars. They both have to make a pit stop. Lilac Zier, we know she's no stranger to strategy calls. Just this week, in Screen to Speed, she tried to make a no pit stop call after pitting after the very first caution on lap 2. It ended up getting her 2nd place. She is always thinking strategy when it comes to these things. Don't count her out either. She could be cooking. She's only 4 seconds off of these leaders as it stands right now anyways.
Wow, Zier missing the entire front bumper of that car at one point.
Yeah. The magic of what can happen when there's not a DVP. Let them put the cars back together. Wygant and Adams, that gap is shrinking just a little bit. Again, John Hagan may be out of this race. Hopped on the pit box to support his protege.
Right now, paying dividends, but
yeah, I don't know what
I
don't know what they're feeding those boys, but they are fast. And look, here comes Wygant.
And Adams in the wall. Adams clipped the wall to 4.
Oh, and Wygant very aggressive on the pit lane. I don't know how much time Adams would have lost from that. It doesn't look like he's lost a whole lot. Lehman in the pit lane as well, so the Iceman comes down as well.
Proudfoot out. Proudfoot is out. Crash on pit entry. Adams leads the race now, but what was a good recovery drive for Proudfoot.
Adams, I think, needs to pit now.
And he
stays out. See, he has better tire management. So I feel like if he pits now, he'd still end up with the better tires by the end of this thing. I think having 1 lap or maybe just 2, I feel like if he doesn't come in the next 2 laps, unless he thinks he could somehow make it to the end, this might not be the right call. But it's easy for us to say that up in the booth. He's probably got an idea of what he wants to do with this race.
Height getting around Zier.
Adams is in.
Yep, here we go.
And with
Zier stays out.
Yeah, and with Height clearing Zier, that means she'll be back on the lead lap. So if a caution is to come out, she will inherit the race lead anyway. So that's 2 things happening at once there. Henderson's in, Flores is in. Adams in the pit lane, he got in pretty clean. It's Zier, Bobby Blowers, and Steven Overstat, the top 3. I don't know that any of them could have saved enough fuel to get to the end.
No.
But who knows?
Zier has not pitched top 145. Blowers 148, Santiago 148. Overstat 148.
Oh my goodness, and look at that move by DJ Trout, who's been having a stellar comeback drive in the second half of this race. So Zier is in, which will hand the lead to Bobby Blowers, who is on your screen now, getting passed by DJ Trout, who will now get a lap back on race leader, Bobby Blowers. There goes the 24 to get a lap back as well. So there's Pacey. So it seems to me that Height is a long way ahead. But how much tire does she have left?
This is interesting. So Height, of those that have pit, Height is leading. Then it's Josh Arnold, then Hunter Peach. So Arnold's leapfrogged several cars in this transaction, even 2 laps earlier, and is currently provisionally P2
it seems like
by the time all of it cycles through.
Yeah, it seems like the undercut is so extreme here, but here comes Peach to pass. So
Yeah.
this is what it's going to be, is Hunter Peach on that short run. What can he do to try to catch Katie Height? Will we get another caution as well? Because if we don't,
thing.
I think it's Height's race to lose. I think they needed to have responded to her, and they waited too long.
They waited way too long. I think they were trying to see if they could even stretch it out.
I think I just don't think they knew that they were running out of laps as quickly as they were, because it makes sense if we have 30 or 40 laps left, not if we have 10.
And that's what we're coming to. Coming to 10 laps to go.
Yeah.
Flower stays out, and Overstat stays out, and they've made their bet. They've got to lay in it right now.
But here's the flip
They're
side.
hoping.
Here's the flip side of this. If a caution comes out right now,
The Bandits.
they look the smartest people in the whole field. So there's a lot happening. Blowers is in now. Overstat stays out another lap. Does Overstat think he might have enough fuel to make it to the end? I don't think so, because I still hear the engine on that car. I think he's just trying to lead laps. So Overstat leads. Once he pits, it'll hand the lead to Katie Height, who has a big gap, 3 seconds between her and Hunter Peach, who's putting on an excellent show tonight. Nevertheless, and if we get a caution, that'll turn everything on its head. But I really hope we don't, because the back half of this race has been the best we've seen in months. The last thing we need is it to be marred by a handful of cautions. Overstat continues to stay out. He is nursing that car around, but I don't think he can last a lot longer. I think he's coming in this time, and he does. Overstat isn't going to make it. He was waiting for a caution that never came. Can't blame him for gambling with how this season's been, but this is going to hand the lead off to Katie Height. Who has 3.5 seconds back to Hunter Peach. That's the gap.
Arnold sitting in third, then it's Adams who's just now getting around Josh Arnold for that third spot.
I just think they underestimated the power of Katie Height on that undercut. They waited too long to respond to her. It's
So
worked.
Look what Arnold did.
Yeah, it's worked a treat for Arnold and Height, and Arnold's still going to get probably a top 6 out of this before it's all said and done. But look at the pace that Pacey Wygen has, and John Adams. It's just all going to be for naught, because with 7 laps to go and a 4-second gap, I think that may just be too much, but who knows?
Again, there's one thing that changes everything, and we've seen it so much this season. Do we see it in these last 6.5 laps?
I think John Adams gets second place. I think Pacey Wygen can get it too. It's just they're gaining all the time on Katie Height. They are gaining about a half a second a lap, but that means they're going to just about run out of time, I think. But I don't know. Height in lap traffic perhaps might have some issues, but she's got clean track now. But the gap is 3 seconds between her and Hunter Peach. It's 3.4 between her and Adams, so it's going to be tight, but I think they're just going to need a few more laps to try to get there. But she is on the oldest tires in the field, as is Hunter Peach. So how quickly the dispatch of Hunter Peach is going to be pretty indicative of if they can get to and catch Height. And it'd be up to Adams, because I don't think Wygen's going to get there. And it seems like Adams is just struggling that little bit. Finds a hole now to get around the one of Peach and will be released. And clears. But can Adams gain 2.8 seconds in 4 laps? That is an awfully tall ask. But that car is electric right now. Lapped car number 90 is Santiago. Not a factor right now. He should do a courtesy and stay high here and let that 76 have the lane, and will. So with 4 laps to go in the BFL 300, it is now 2.5 seconds. And that's the gap. You can see them both in the same shot now.
And Wygen's not far behind either.
I think
winning third.
I still think they're just gonna run out of time. but it's going to be close. There they all are. Can Height hold on for 3 more laps?
Last lap through for Height, 30.9. Jonathan Adams, 30.4.
The gap is 2 seconds even now. Adams is giving it absolutely everything he's got, but Height is hanging on by the skin of her teeth. It's under a second now. The timing and scoring at the top of your screen is not as accurate as ours. It is under a second, or under 2 seconds, excuse me. 2 laps to go.
I don't think he's going to get enough.
I don't think so either, but we'll see.
But he's
trying.
He has chopped down so much time as Wygant looks to the inside of Peach for third. That is for the podium, and he's got it.
Yes, he does. And clears.
Coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go for Caitlin Height.
I think she's going to have enough. The gap is just above a second now. Purple sectors from Adams. He has put absolutely everything on the line in these last 10 laps, but he waited too long. Katie Height, half a lap away from another victory. And she's going to take her time through this final turn. Out of turn number 4, the BFL 300 is over. Height's going to have enough. She takes the checkers here at Charlotte, but a valiant effort from Adams for second, and Pacey Wygant gets a maiden podium in third. Peach 4th and Meredith 5th. And how about DJ Trout and Lilac Zier 6th and 7th? They were all under a blanket across the line. Apperson and Arnold will come across as well in 9th and 8th respectively, and Elias Flores will nab the last position in the top 10. And what a fantastic finish to a race this series sorely needed.
That was a phenomenal race. What a finish. That was a little bit of everything we needed.
Finally. And Height's gonna burn it down. And a well-earned win for her.
Phenomenal job here.
Your ABN winning moment. Another jewel to add to her crown. And an absolute barnstormer of a burnout. Well, we'll see if we can't have a word with him. Finally, we're going to get some happy drivers in the booth after all of that. But Katie Height out front tonight and gets the checkered flag. It was such a close battle, though. John Adams, you got to hand it to him, put in a fantastic effort to even get close to the 11 at the end after waiting just a little too long in the pit stops. Carmen, you think if they pit maybe another lap earlier, they would have had a shot?
I think there was an 8-lap difference in pit stops. If they had cut that in half and gave them 4 laps extra, completely different conversation. Completely different conversation. But they waited just a little bit too long. They pit with 15 to go. If they had pit just a little bit closer, if they had pit just 4 laps earlier, this is a completely different conversation. But what a drive. What a drive nonetheless to try to reel it in and make it as close as it was at the end. Adams was on something completely different at the end there.
And we saw some stellar drives early on in that run as well from the one of Hunter Peach, who just seems to come to life in these kind of crown jewel events. He's driving the 1 car and very much earning it with that Jamie McMurray-esque performance tonight. A fantastic run for him. It's not the podium he would have wanted, but he'll have to settle for a top 5. And how about Zachary Meredith running out of gas at the end of segment 2, ends up popping back into the top 5 before it was all said and done.
Yeah, fantastic job there. You know, you look through and you just look at all the drivers in the top 10. Hunter Peach, Zach Meredith, DJ Trout, Lilac Zier. How did Lilac Zier get that car put back together to finish 7th? That car was completely destroyed. That car was a modified in stage 1 of this race. A 7th place finish. Well done to Lilac Zier and the Stepping Stone Motorsports crew. Apperson, a good top 10 finish for him. I think this is his first top 10 of the season. A very fantastic effort for him tonight. Josh Arnold his undercut. Unfortunately, he fell off there at the end. He was one of the first ones to pit. But a top 10 finish for him, that's a good confidence boost. It worked out in his favor compared to where he was. He was 15th entering that pit stop cycle, 9th place finish. Not bad. Elias Flores, another top 10 for that 99 car. Flores doing a fantastic job as well. You let drivers race, and some of the talent shines, and you get to see that in the top 10 here tonight.
Amazing how that works. And for those that were cheering on the Iceman, he comes home P11, just shy of the top 10, but a great run for him too. He was running up front and mixing it up. But we'll have a word with our race winner, Katie. Hi, Katie. This is Kristina, the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, hi, Dale.
My God, we finally had a race.
Yeah, I mean, it was great that, able to get some green flag pit stops and, like, work some strategy out on track and, like, have a few comers and goers. It was really tough to really tell who was saving, who was pushing. I was mostly saving like 90% of every run, so it's like I had a great time up front with Proudfoot until he had his issues, but man, some of the there's still some disrespect issues all throughout, but I mean, once people can settle down, it shows that we know how to race.
Yeah, absolutely. And you went after it for a while. You were fighting with Hunter Peach and John Adams for a bit as well. Some of the newer drivers you've not really battled with much this season, banging doors for the lead at one point as well. That had to have been exciting to get some really solid runs in, fighting with Pacey, Wige, and Adams and Peach up there.
Yeah, Peach is always, I was racing with him late last season, so I know what he's capable of, and it's, I know he's capable of a lot, so. But the line that I saw him running late in the race, I knew, like, he was about to fall off, and then there was one corner where I just opened up, like, 2 or 3 tenths, and it's like, right there's the cliff. But, yeah, big shout out to Jonathan Adams. He was at it. Yeah, Jonathan Adams. Great race from him. He was really charging there late.
Yeah, absolutely. Kept it interesting there, but it turned out you had a great strategy and were able to hang on for that little bit there at the end, and it was a great effort running up front all day long and keeping the nose clean on that number 11. If there's anybody you want to shout out, now would be the time to do it. If not, congratulations on another win and another crown jewel.
Yeah, big shout out to both you and Carmen for always persisting through and always putting the broadcast first, no matter what we bring. HTL admins for all the works that they do behind the scenes. Big shout out to big shout out to Callie, Lexi, Emily, and all the great people in Charlotte and even in Ohio. So yeah, I need a drink. I need to go to bed. I actually need to pack because I have a work trip, and yeah.
Well, you got a nice little trophy to pack in there with you, Kate. Congratulations on a great run and another big win to add to that roster. Congrats.
All right, thanks very much.
An excellent effort from her to grab the win tonight, but another excellent run as well. We cannot be remiss to compliment the effort from John Adams tonight. John, this is Kristina in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, it wasn't quite the win, but you put in a stellar effort and we're on an absolute tear those last 10 or 12 laps. You think if you had 5 more laps, you could have got there?
I think it would have had a chance. I'd say towards the last 3-4 laps, the tires definitely felt like they were falling off a lot. I just gotta really thank John Hagan after he had his incident in the race, came in, crew chiefed me up to P2, and yeah, it was. I didn't think 2 tires was going to work that well, but it was. I would say it worked out pretty well.
So big gamble. You still ended up leading 2 laps tonight, and you started in 31st to work your way all the way back up to a P2. Did you think, especially when you were coming out of turn 4, in your qualifying run, sliding and slipping all over the racetrack, that you would even be able to have an opportunity to go run for a podium tonight?
No. Not even close. I gave up all hope after I hit the wall off 4. I relied on 2 people who were unchartered to hit the wall, and it happened by chance. And well, say second place was well out of the question after I had that abysmal qualifying lap.
It was an incredible recovery and a very well-earned podium for you tonight. You had to drive through the field to do it, and you sure as heck earned it. If there's anybody you want to shout out, now would be the time to do it. If not, congrats on an excellent effort here tonight.
Want to shout out my my team owner for giving me a chance, Jacob Shangle, and for also making this paint scheme, of course, for the Charlotte race. And also want to shout out John Hagan once again, crew chiefing me at the very end. Just get me in the position. And obviously I want to shout out my my companion Steven Oberstad as well, who was also racing. And that's about it.
Well, it was a Patriot Day to remember for a founding father of John Adams. I'm sure you're tired of hearing those all the time, but we had to get one.
I am the founding father.
You are the founding father, yeah. Well, you found second place tonight, so congratulations, John, and enjoy.
All right, thank you.
It doesn't look like we'll be able to catch up to Pacey Wygant, unfortunately, but huge commiserations to him. A fantastic effort. Well, you can't talk enough about what an effort this guy has done. He led 37 laps tonight from 35th. He was the second last spot on the starting grid tonight in the 24-car, raced his way all the way up to P3. Big congratulations to Pacey if you're watching, and to all the Pacey fans out there. You picked a good one to root for tonight. An excellent, excellent effort. And first time in a while we can say this too, Carmen, but everybody in the top 3 led laps tonight.
Yeah, very interesting. Just the race itself, the way it played out was very interesting. Everyone led laps in that top 3. You look a little bit further down here, just looking at the results here. The Hyatt led laps, Adam led laps, Wygant, I think Peach, may have led laps. I don't think Meredith did, but he was up there in the top 5 all race long. DJ Trout led laps. Lazier led laps, I think, under the pit stop cycle there. Apperson led laps. There's a lot of lead changes in this race tonight, and obviously that comes with a longer race, obviously. Mm-hmm. But to see all of the top 3 be so competitive was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely, and it must be said that finally we're seeing some improvement in the driving standards as well. It was a very rough start to this event, but once we got to that halfway point, things were absolutely incredible. We'll take a look here at the finishing order. Again, these results are unofficial for the time being, but I think the top 10 at least is pretty well set in stone. Katie Hite wins over John Adams and Pacey Wygant, but it isn't going to look as far apart as it does on the leaderboard. It was a nail-biter to the end. Hunter Peach gets a fantastic run again. He's having more and more of those, it seems, this season. He'll finish ahead of his teammate to round out the top 5 with the reigning champ Zach Meredith on a brilliant recovery drive. DJ Trout put on a career drive tonight, ends up with P6. Lilac Zier from modifieds to stock cars all in one night, ends up 7th with a missing front clip. Zach Apperson 8th after a brilliant effort as well, with Josh Arnold and Elias Flores in 10th. Looking a bit further down, we have Nathan Lehman and Chad Swatsworth with Blake Henderson and Eli Sasick. Bobby Blowers ends up in 15th, and Overstat teammate 2, who we just spoke to, ends up in 16th, the last car on the lead lap. It's Angel Santiago and Alfred Denny, followed by Nathan Estep and Lily Pelletier Sharp to round out the top 20. Bia Constantinu 2 laps down, and Matthew Boone 6 down. Everybody from here on out either DNF'd or had some significant problems that took them out of contention. Gary Donaldson, Brandon Proudfoot, Scott Poznanski, Dylan McDonald, Josh Gaiman, Selena Thompson, Joel Rodriguez, and William Britton. And then to round out the field, Josh Sosi, John Hagan, Ryan Moutre, Byron Jones, Callie Hite, and Caleb Eichler, the final finishing order for tonight. And then Jonathan Smeal and Connor Morris failing to qualify for tonight's event. It was an exciting race in the end, and one that we desperately needed, Carmen. And I have to say, the incident points finally showing a big change in the control of these drivers. And I really hope that this is going to lead into the next events, and we can continue to see this happening in the next few rounds, because when these guys and gals get to race, it is something to witness.
Yeah, it's been, again, phenomenal. Again, a phenomenal race that we took. It took forever to get a race like this. Phenomenal. Just a show of talent there, you know, especially, you know, you cut up the first 50 laps. Phenomenal. It was a really good race. Really, especially when you look at how last season's race went and what we were leading up to with this. Everyone showed up and showed out for a big race tonight, and hopefully it carries on to Atlanta next week.
Absolutely. Back on the high banks of the freshly paved Atlanta, it's another super speedway race. It is historically what HTL does best, but the way this season's going, who knows? But we do know we finally got a good finish to a race after a month and a half of races marred by safety cars. Take a bow, everybody, for that one, and hopefully we see more of that in the coming weeks. Coming up next, I'm taking my broadcaster hat on and putting my streamer hat on. I'm gonna have a hop out of here, but we'll be rating my channel through the Guide the Raid. But with that short intermission, we hope you'll join us there, and until then, we hope you'll join us through the rest of the events on ABN this week. Carmen, why don't you run us through what those are?
We got Tuesday, tomorrow night. We're back here for the HTL Cup Series race. Thursday, we're live on our birthday for the Hyper Formula race at Hockenheim. Saturday, it's the ARCS Truck Series, beginning of the round of 5 there at Five Flag Speedway, as well as the Platinum Endurance Championship, the 6 hours of Magny-Cours. That is the next week coming up, and then obviously next Monday we'll be live from Atlanta for the HTL Cup Series.
Alrighty, so that sounds like a fun time. I can't wait to get there. I'm just gonna check and see to make sure this is all working, but until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Don't go anywhere as we get ready to transfer the raid over, but we'll see you next time. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you hopefully for the other events on ABN. And until then, take care, be well, and again, congratulations to our podium finishers on a fantastic effort tonight. We'll see you next time.